guy who reads comics, he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
No violence. You're heavy.
Home again, home again.
You betray the law!
Class is Pain 101.
This one's for you, boy.
I guess one person can make a difference.
Yeah! I'm starting it out Dick style this week. Welcome, everybody, to the panel cast. We are back after a long hiatus. There was no panel cast last week. Everyone was fucking furious at me. I got all your tweets, all one of them, from all my fan. He was so angry with me that there wasn't a panel cast last week. You know, it was such a busy week. I had to finish my big election video, and then I was busy with other stuff. You know, I was busy being a well-laid Lothario, traveling the country on my love quest. But I'm back, and you know, the election week is finally over. The election's over, people, and I really think that America needs this. You need the panel cast right now. This country needs to be united in the panel cast more than ever. You all need to come with me on the SS panel cast, my pirate ship, and sail through the cosmos into my dimension of comic book panels and become wireframe res people with me. And I'm back. Oh my god, the election's finally over. I think it's the election that won't die is what it is. It's still going on. It's still all over. It should be over by now. But these fucking people, I'm gonna say it, these goddamned millennials who won't shut the fuck up. It's over. Stop fucking whining. You fucking brainwashed, idiotic. All these cowardly females who are so convinced that Donald Trump, now that he's president, that they're gonna walk outside, the whole world's gonna be on fire, and there's gonna be like rape drones swooping down from the sky to grab everyone's pussy. I know I already said this stuff. I know I have. Oh god, I can't. I hate them all so much. I had a fucking existential crisis the other night because I went to a friend's house on election night and saw my friends, like, crying, like, putting their hands in their faces and weeping because Donald Trump won, because they're so fucking brainwashed by the media. They legitimately think that now they're gonna, like, lose all their rights to vote and their right to have an abortion, and the whole country is just gonna become the United States of rape. That's how fucking retarded people are. But enough about the election. For God's sakes, enough about the election. I know that I'm being part of the fucking problem right now. God, I just want it to die. It should be dead. It's over. It's been like 3 days. It's Thursday now, and they won't shut up about it. They won't let it die. The election that won't die is continuing to lurch along like a fucking zombie, and I just want to bash its fucking brains in. I want to take everyone who cared about the election, all of these whiny millennials and delusional females on Facebook and Twitter who won't stop fucking crying about Donald Trump, even though it's fucking over and done with. I want to take them all. I want to take all the fucking voters, and I want to line them up on their knees so fucking Negan can bash their fucking heads in, and I want them all. I want all voters to die. I want to run someday on the presidential platform of kill all voters, and I'll be the last president that this country ever fucking has, because once I'm elected, you're all fucking dead. Everyone who voted for me is dead. Everyone who voted for the other guy is dead. I'm just gonna become God Emperor forever, outlaw democracy, and just give everyone free comics. That'll be my tax plan. Instead of paying taxes, you all get comics every year. Holy shit. I'm so mad. Anyways, welcome to the panel cast, everybody. We're gonna talk about some fucking comics this week, and I have a special guest this week. This is a two-person panel cast. I have with me, I forgot to give her a name. I like to give my friends names. I like to protect people's identities. That's why secretary is secretary. I didn't give you this is the amazing Alice, everybody.
Hi. That was a marvel just now, witnessing all that.
Oh yeah, she was she had to sit next to that. I hope they can hear you. I hope this microphone can pick up both of us.
Oh yeah, no.
You're kind of sitting in like a lawn chair, and you're sinking into the floor, so you're not totally close to the microphone. It's my fault.
No, it seems fine.
But anyways, this is my my loyal scribe. She's been staying with me for the week, recording all the funny things I say and posting them on Twitter for me. And she's a comic book girl. You tell them what you do.
Oh, I help run a comic book shop company. That's about the gist of it.
Aren't you in charge of like 4 stores or something?
I help out at 4 stores, yeah, basically.
She was flipping out like earlier. Like,
Oh, yeah.
She wanted to do this panel cast so bad. She was bothering me. Like I was trying to listen to all of my podcasts for the week and get my stuff done. I was trying to watch my stories, watch my shows. I was listening to the Dick Show. I was trying to listen to Digi's Decompression Chamber, and she's over there fucking whining. We gotta do the panel cast. I love comics, and I want to tell the world that I know about comics, and I want to show the world that girls can love comics too, because girls aren't going to be allowed to read comics anymore now that Trump is president.
Yeah.
I want to show the world that women have rights to read comics. And she was just pestering me. I'm trying to listen to all my stuff, and then so then I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. Let's do the panel cast. And then immediately she's fucking over there on her laptop doing some work shit, yelling at her employees, throwing a fucking fit. And I had to fucking sit there. Once I got ready to record this, then I had to sit there and fucking twiddle my dick while she went off and yelled at her boss on the phone for like an hour. And then she comes back all huffing and steaming, like, oh, God. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And so that was another hour. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm a nuisance. That's about the gist of it.
She is a nuisance, like all women. You know, thank God that Trump's president. He's going to bring back the ancient technique of putting 5 across the face on a hysterical woman to calm her down. That's the first order of business. That was trending, I think. Trump's first order, hashtag Trump's first order. That's what I think it's going to be. Trump's first order is to bring back slapping hysterical women to make them act right.
You know, I had a dream like that once about rape drones. It was a good dream. I liked it.
Were they just like helicoptering on with little dildos hanging off the bottom of them? Beware the ghost of Boo Radley. He's a rapist, possibly. Vanguard 1 is not. Vanguard 1 is a noble, a feminist, a male feminist, but a good kind, not like a beta male. Boo Radley, though, is his evil alter ego. Jesus Christ, what am I talking about? Anyways, so much fucking to talk about on the panel cast this week because I missed a week. You know, I should explain why there was no panel cast last week, partly because I was busy making that big election video. But also, you know, I did start recording the panel cast. I recorded the intro for it. It was this big, like, 20-minute rant of an intro. It was really funny. I'll probably, you know, you'll probably hear it next week. I'll stick it on that one. But, you know, I recorded the intro for the panel cast. And then when I started to get into the meat of, like, talking about the comics, what happened was the comics last week were all so terrible that it broke me. And I couldn't even muster any words for them. I was so seething mad about these fucking comics that I read. Specifically one. You know, I'll just fucking say it. You know, there's this comic out right now called Champions. And I read the fucking... You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
By Mark Waid, right?
Maybe.
The same guy who turned Daredevil into like a San Franciscan hipster fuck boy, sweet boy, mangina for like 10 years. This comic Champions... Where do I even start with how much I fucking hated this? I have to say it. Even though it came out last week, I won't be able to function this week unless I get this off my chest. First of all, it takes place after the Civil War II event, which is still fucking going on because Marvel can't fucking get their shit together and do anything right. So every comic that you read now, half the Marvel comics that you buy now are just going to spoil the story that's going on right now. Like, I know what happens at the end of Civil War II now, without having it spoiled. They spoil their own shit because their stories are so bloated, and they take so long to get them out, that they have to release the stories after them before they're even done.
They even extend them. They're like, Civil War, you guys wanted an extra issue of that, didn't you?
Oh, God, it's terrible. Yeah, so this Champions book, it takes place after the Civil War II thing that's going on. So I guess, the young heroes, the teeny bopper Avengers, they're all so angry at the adult Avengers for having the Civil War II, for having this big, boring comic book event, that they're like, fuck you, we're gonna go be actual superheroes. I feel like I've seen this plot in comics over and over my whole life. A team of heroes that says, the heroes aren't doing it right, so we're going to get back to basics. And it's always a lie. It's always an unfulfilled promise. The offshoot team of heroes who wants to do it right and not get wrapped up in events, they do anyways.
I mean, the prophecy repeats itself.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling... Mm-hmm. It's like an Ouroboros of shitty comics that's perpetually eating its own tail.
Yep.
But, so the teeny bopper Avengers... They try to start their own little Avengers team. And first of all, this lineup of these teeny bopper Avengers, half of them are characters that I fucking hate and loathe and despise. And I'll get to it. And half of them I hate, and the other half I like, but were ruined in this comic. Because I read the first 2 issues. It's 2 issues so far.
Yep.
But, I mean, I'll just go through the lineup. First of all, Nova. Who the fuck is Nova? I don't know and I don't care. Don't even explain it to me, because I don't even want to know who he is. I hate him. He's just some little sweet boy in a helmet who fucking flies around with a rocket ass. You can tell me who he is.
Well, I mean, they're bringing back old Nova, so it won't matter anyway.
Well, yeah, of course, because every superhero has to be 5 superheroes now. There's got to be 10 Captain Americas. We have to have a Captain America to represent every minority and sexual orientation on the planet.
Yep. Like you said, Marvel is Tumblr.
Marvel is Tumblr incarnate. They are not 2 separate companies. They are one entity. Oh, I hate them.
Don't worry about Nova. He doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Go
Nova,
on.
That's what I assume. Nova doesn't matter. What has Nova ever done? What even is this character? Why does he even exist?
He's got a special helmet that lets him do special things. Moving on.
Wow, well, that's like a Disney Channel original movie. That's not a superhero origin. That's like, I found a magic pair of sneakers and now I can jump high.
Wow.
What a bitch. I hate him. And I hate, so much of the cosmic Marvel stuff I hate anyways. I can't get into it. It's so weird. But, enough about that. So there's Nova. He's fucking nobody. I don't care about him. He's not interesting at all. He has no, every good superhero, a great superhero, Spider-Man, Batman, the Hulk, there's always something at the core of the character that everyone in the world can relate to. Some struggle that defines the character. And I hate these, second-string characters that just don't have that. They're just, one-dimensional, or not even one-dimensional. They're multi-dimensional because they serve the purposes of whatever story they're in, because they don't have a personality or a backstory that anyone cares about. And I think Nova's a great example of that. Fuck them. And if you're a big fan of Nova, you're not. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. No one's a big fan of Nova. So there's that guy that I hate. Next up is Amadeus Cho, the genius intellect teenage fucking bro Hulk, the teenage Asian bro Hulk, who spends this entire comic macking on all the honeys because I guess the Hulk should be cool now. That's I can't imagine they do this all the time. Marvel has done this periodically every 5 years since the dawn of Marvel. They go, hey, what if the Hulk wasn't angry? Well, then he's not the fucking Hulk. He's not interesting. The whole thing that makes the Hulk interesting is that basic that iconic Jekyll and Hyde storyline that everyone can relate to. Everybody has a side of themselves they don't like. Everybody, might have a temper or some insecurity, and that's what the Hulk speaks to. That's why he's a great character, because Bruce Banner will never and should never be able to control the Hulk or contain him. And every fucking 5 years, Marvel gets on this kick where they're maybe Dr. Banner, the Hulk is a genius now. Or Grey Hulk, he fucking works in a casino now, and he beats people up with a crowbar. He's like a bouncer or some shit. Or there's a Red Hulk now. Thunderbolt Ross is a Hulk, and Betty's a Hulk too. Everyone's a fucking Hulk now. And now, his little sidekick, this character, I'm frothing at the mouth. I'm working myself up already. It's only been 13 minutes. This character they introduced in the Hulk comics, right? Or no, Hercules.
Hercules. Why are we talking about Hercules?
Well, I'm just trying to remember where Amadeus Cho was introduced.
God, it was a little while back. I don't even remember. I just remember the comic releasing, and I was just like, oh, what is this called? The Totally Awesome New Hulk? And I actually read the comic begrudgingly because I immediately saw that title and I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a stupid title.
Well, I mean,
this is arrogant, this is stupid, and I don't want to read this. But
making the Hulk cool, it's just not what makes the character interesting. The Hulk is interesting because he's the Hulk. I mean, if you just have a big strong guy who's also smart, that's that's just the thing. The thing already exists. There's already a big strong guy who can talk good. I mean, as well as the thing can talk.
Yeah. Well,
but
I mean,
he is kind of a Brooklyn trash.
yes.
Grumble, grumble, clobber in time, Yancey Street, my mother, poker, Yankees.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. When I did read the Totally Awesome Hulk the first time, the first issue, I sat there, at the end of the issue, just holding it in my hands going, I can't believe I liked this.
Ugh.
I know.
And he's just, Amadeus Cho as Hulk, he's just another one of these characters where, they don't want to make new superheroes. They just want to make new versions of the guys who already exist. They want to sap away everything that's special about the characters we love and try to like put the costume on some other character as though it automatically infuses them with that.
A younger character, no less.
Yeah, a younger character, a blacker character, a hetero, fucking non-gender queer binary.
Well, they have to get ready
Down
for the
syndrome.
movies.
Like young Stephen Hawking in like a little motorized cart. They're gonna put a Thor helmet on some like sentient tumor that's like growing off of some other guys. That's the new. You gotta be as inclusive as possible. You gotta represent the sentient tumor. Total Recall.
I mean, technically, the helmet is
Market.
already on a cancer patient, so.
Yeah, fuck.
Well, there you go.
Ugh.
But it's just because they're getting ready for the movies. Like they're
hate
pushing these films so hard, and
I
it's
hate
like
them all so much.
they're like, our actors are getting old. They're going to be obsolete soon. We have to create new characters.
I never thought of that. Do you think that's why? Because the actors will get old and they want to be able to in the movies keep them going. Oh, that is fucking insidious. That's nefarious.
Yeah. No, that's what I think.
Oh,
that's why we're seeing.
You're probably right. That's horrifying. That oh my god, you thought that the vision of Trump's America, you thought that future was bad. Imagine the future 10 years from now when Robert Downey is too old to play Iron Man and they get some little black girl to beat Iron Man in the movies because they're already doing it in the comics. Yep. Iron Man's a black girl now. Thor is a cancer woman now. Fucking Captain America's a black guy. Miss Marvel's a little girl. Not that I care about the old Miss Marvel anyways, but
well, Doom is also an Iron Man, so.
Oh, that's right. Dr. Doom is Iron Man now.
Uh-huh.
I forgot about that because he's got a good face, and that made him a good person.
Yep. So 2 Iron Men, 2 Captain Americas. We have 1 Captain Marvel, 1 Miss Marvel.
There's fucking 5 Spider-Mans.
There's gonna be 2 Novas.
There's so many goddamn Spider-Mans. There's so many.
Oh.
There's Peter. There's Miles. There's Silk. There's Kane. There's fucking Spider-Gwen.
Kane is the best. Go on.
Well, Kane. Yeah, I like him. He's back. I'll talk about him.
And then renew your vows. That's a thing now.
Yep.
Mary Jane is a Spider-Man. Their daughter is a Spider-Man.
Well, it seems like every couple of years, Mary Jane becomes a superhero for like 1 issue, and then they forget about it.
She was already in Invincible Iron Man.
Oh my God, Mary Jane as Tony Stark's secretary. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm just so angry about everything having to do with Spider-Man for the last 10 fucking years! Oh, I'm not even there yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna fucking burst. Thinking about Spider-Man has been like a non-stop a weight on my soul. Like I'm constantly, if people want to know the source of my anger, it's because for the last 10 years of Marvel Spider-Man comics, I'm constantly on the verge of committing like that game Hatred, a genocide crusade, or where I go out in black and white with a shotgun and start killing people because of what they've done to Spider-Man. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get there eventually. I'm still yelling about champions right now. Okay? So the theme is Nova, who I hate and isn't interesting. Amadeus Cho Hulk, who I hate and isn't interesting. Fucking, who else? What's the other? Miles Morales, the little black Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe, who isn't interesting.
He was. I haven't been reading his comics lately, though.
Okay. What is his origin now in the new Marvel Universe? It doesn't make any sense anymore. I think that the thing... Miles Morales was a character who was introduced in the Ultimate Comics. Mm-hmm. The Ultimate Comics were like Marvel's attempt to sort of make like a second universe to kind of get new readers in like the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of like retelling of like contemporary origins of superheroes. And it was a really big success. There were a lot of really great stories, especially in the early part of the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Spider-Man was fantastic for like the first 100 issues.
Oh, yeah.
But eventually it kind of crumbled in on itself, and the weight of its own continuity became too much, and it turned to shit, and there was a lot of weird stuff that happened. What's going on with my haunted door over there? It's slowly creaking itself open. Boo Radley is going to come in here and rape us both for Trump.
I had a dream like that once.
But, so the Ultimate Universe lasted for like 10 years, and it eventually crumbled in on itself, and it started having some really awful stories that everyone hated, like Ultimatum, where like the Blob ate the Wasp. And there was like this really graphic panel of him like munching on her intestines and shit.
Yep, I remember that.
And there was a tidal wave and 1 million people died. Anyways,
and Scarlet Witch and Silver, what's his face?
Oh yeah,
Quicksilver.
Were they fucking? Did they
no,
have like a
totally
Lannister thing going on? Yeah.
But everybody
Oh, and like Ultimate Wolverine fucked like teenage Jean Grey.
Yep.
Oh, that was so creepy. That was where I signed out, where I stopped reading the Ultimate X-Men comics. I stuck around with Ultimate Spider-Man for a while, but
because it was Jean Grey or because she was a teenager?
not because she's a teenager. I'm 100% for having sex with teenagers. I think that'll make America great again. Is if we lower the age of consent to like 12 and a half, I think that would make this country great again. But I just think Wolverine should never ever ever have sex with Jean Grey, because it's like a vital part of his character. We're like
forever pining for the woman.
Well, like Wolverine. We're going off in so many different directions right now, but I mean, like Wolverine, you know, in the old Claremont X-Men stories, he was introduced as like, you know, the rebel of the team, the guy who's always a loner and he's always grumpy, he doesn't get along with anyone, but like he falls in love with Jean Grey, but like this huge vital part of his growth as a character is accepting that it is not meant to be with Jean Grey, and accepting that, you know, he can love her deeply, passionately, forever, but it's not to be, and like going off to Japan and marrying Mariko Yashida, and like it made him be a better person. It was like that was his source of growth in the X-Men comics in the Claremont era, and so it just feels like a weird, grimy, slimy betrayal to me to ever have Wolverine fuck Jean Grey. It just kind of makes I'm like totally like anti-shipping for that one. I don't like it. It's creepy. Every time I see it in anything, it creeps me out. And now they've got I'm going off on so many tangents. Now they've got Old Man Logan and Teeny Bopper Jean Grey, and I swear to God, they're gonna have him fuck her. They're gonna have 90-year-old Wolverine fuck 16-year-old Jean Grey. And I know that I just said that I love fucking little girls, but something about it being those two characters really sickens me on a primal level, and I don't want it. And I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not feminist, is what it is. You know, Donald Trump's going to be president, and suddenly Wolverine's going to be fucking little baby Jean Grey. I know I'm flip-flopping on my feelings for Donald Trump like every 5 minutes. I go from making fun of him to like praising him to back to making fun of him. It's just funny. Everything about Donald Trump is hilarious to me, except for the fact that all my friends are turning on me for not voting for Hillary Clinton enough.
Yeah, I actually really like the Old Man Logan series.
Oh yeah, Old Man Logan is everything. Like the original series was fantastic, and
yes.
the ongoing is really good too.
Jeff Lemire's writing for it, if I remember right, and he's one of my favorite writers.
What the fuck was I even talking about? I was talking about like Wolverine and Jean Grey.
Right. Winding back, you were asking about Miles Morales. What is his origins?
Get my fucking Eye of Agamotto and fucking turn back the clock, roll back the clock to the dawn of time. That's the fucking We're Back reference. You weren't expecting that, were you, people? That was a Doctor Strange reference combined with a We're Back, a dinosaur story reference. That was like, nobody can do this shit but me. I've got so much in my brain, these fucking spiderwebs firing off synapses in so many fucking wild directions. That's why I'm the best there is at what I do. And what I do ain't cool.
No, you were asking about Miles Morales and like what even is.
Right, okay, so the origin of Miles Morales, before the ultimate... Fuck. There's so much to unpack here with comics. It's just... That's why I was so like... like pumped up and like pacing back and forth to like do this panel cast, because there's so much to everything with comics that you talk about. You have to talk about 10,000 other things. Everything has 70 years of history before it to even get to your point. It's Marvel so stressful.
But Marvel in particular, it's bad.
So, okay, the Ultimate Universe, you know, there was a bunch of big events where like 1 million superheroes died. Everyone started to hate it. The people started turning on the Ultimate Marvel Universe pretty strongly, and they finally decided, okay, it's run its course. We gotta fold it. We gotta sort of fold it into the main Marvel Universe. So all the characters that were popular, which, I mean, just Miles Morales, because he was the only person still alive in the Ultimate Universe by the end of it.
Yep.
But, so they did a big event last year where Doctor Doom did some magic fuckery and became king of the world for a while. And it combined, like, the Marvel multiverse into one planet. And,
Secret Wars.
Yeah. And the end of it, the fallout from it was just that, you know, the Marvel Universe sort of combined with the Ultimate Marvel Universe and sort of...
They pulled the same thing that DC did with the New 52.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't Convergence, it was the one before that, Flashpoint.
It wasn't as badly done as the New 52, though. I mean, it was... I liked last year's event. For an event, I hate them all. But I thought that the Secret Wars was decent.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It just took a really long time to finish.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people lost interest at that
But,
point.
yeah, the main Marvel Universe folded in on the Ultimate Marvel Universe, and they adopted Miles Morales. I'm gonna barf. I'm barfing.
All this over the Champions?
Yeah. The Champions...
It's not even finished. It's only up to issue 2. God. And already you want to barf?
Okay, Miles Morales was a character invented in the Ultimate Marvel Universe by Bendis.
Michael Bendis.
So he was the little black Spider-Man. He was a guy, I don't know, I might be wrong. Correct me if I get anything. She was fucking giving me so much grief earlier. You go in that panel cast, and everything you fucking say is incorrect. You get so much stuff wrong.
What?
You fucking...
Why am I always made out to be the bad guy?
I don't know, because it's funny.
Because I'm a woman. And this
Exactly.
This
This is Trump's America.
Trump's world now.
I'm allowed to be sexist. It's Trump's world now. But, he was a guy who got bitten. Was it the same spider that bit Peter?
Like the exact, literal same spider?
On, like, the same day? Or was it different? Because I don't even know.
I don't remember.
But he had spider powers, too. And I think, like, he wasn't doing anything with them. They had a big event called Ultimatum. Spider-Man died. Mm-hmm. Did he die in Ultimatum?
Yeah, I think.
Peter Parker died.
He died.
And, so Spider-Man died, and everyone was really inspired by Spider-Man's heroic death. And Miles Morales, this kid who had spider powers but didn't do anything with them, he said, oh my god, Spider-Man died, and here I am doing fuck all with my spider powers. And that's how he learned about responsibility and that whole thing.
Yeah, but it was followed up by a whole mess of things.
And then he became Spider-Man, basically.
We haven't even gotten to the meat potatoes.
Okay, there's Nova, who I hate. Amadeus Cho, who I hate. Miles Morales, who I hate. That was my point. That's why I got in the Ultimate Universe fucking story. Because now that he's in the
main
Marvel
universe.
In the main Marvel Universe, Spider-Man never died. So why is Miles Morales a Spider-Man? What is his new origin?
I mean, if he's still got the powers, why not? What are they gonna do? Go back home?
That's stupid. That robs him of all of his coolness, I think.
Yeah, and I saw recently some new issues coming out. I guess him and Spider-Gwen are gonna be a thing at some point.
Oh my god. No. How old is Spider-Gwen?
I don't know. Same age.
Isn't she cradle robbing? Shouldn't she be Peter Parker's age?
Aren't they both like 16? I don't keep up with their ages very well because they never age, or they reverse ages, or they just kind of.
It's different. It's
ambiguous.
It's different in every single comic. How fucking old is Gwenpool?
Who knows?
When she was introduced last year in like Howard the Duck, the way that she was drawn made her seem like she's like 27, 20, our age, like an adult.
Maybe.
But then you read her ongoing, and maybe it's just because of the change in art style. Now she looks like she's a teenager. Like they can't even keep like that's like a real huge pet peeve of mine is Marvel being fucky about the characters' ages. Like in universe, the Fantastic Four were the first heroes, and they started technically like the original Human Torch, the robot looking guy. Mm-hmm. But for all intents and purposes, in Marvel continuity history, the age of superheroes started with the Fantastic Four, which is generally considered to be 15 years ago, right? And then pretty soon after them, 15-year-old Spider-Man got bit by the spider. Mm-hmm. So when I read comics, to me, I always feel like Peter Parker should be 29, 30 years old, an adult. But they always want to make him, like, younger, like his early 20s, and it makes no sense. The timeline of Marvel is so fucky. I hate it. I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. How old is Scott Summers? He should also be in his 30s.
No, that's an alternate dimension, Scott Summers.
I don't... Oh.
Here we go.
Oh, that's right. How could I forget about the original 5 X-Men who got fucking shucky-ducky quacked into the modern age?
Yeah, no, that's supposed to be the Scott Summers that becomes an evil, tyrannical person.
I'm sorry, this is the most, like, clusterfuck panel cast that has ever existed. I'm so riled right now! About everything. I haven't even, like, I have, like, notes here that we haven't gotten to yet. All the comics that I actually read this week that I haven't talked about yet.
Well, you are technically still yelling about Champions. This is all connected.
I hate Champions so much.
Moving on.
Nova, who I hate. Amadeus Cho-Hulk, who I hate and is not interesting. Who was the other guy? Miles Morales, who is not interesting, and I don't like him, and I don't care about him.
Scott.
Oh, young Scott Summers. Teeny bopper Cyclops. So, a couple years ago, in the pages of X-Men... No, wait, I have to start this story 10 years ago.
Oh, no!
I have to start it at,
Oh,
like,
no!
I have to start it at, like, Grant Morrison's New X-Men. When Grant Morrison, you know, after fucking years of Cyclops existing and nobody liking him, when Grant Morrison in the 2000s made Cyclops the coolest fucking character of all time, and then Joss Whedon made him even fucking cooler after that. You know, he started fucking Emma Frost. He started, you know, kicking major amounts of ass. He, like, the character evolved from, like, you know, Cyclops was always this, like, stoic, you know, the Leonardo, the nobody's favorite, the guy who's just there for Wolverine to bounce off and be the rebel who everyone likes.
Yeah.
He was, like, the uptight, rule Nazi who, you know...
The principal.
Yeah, the principal. That was how people viewed Cyclops forever. That's how I viewed Cyclops as a kid. Watching the animated series as a kid, I liked Gambit and Wolverine, and I never cared about Cyclops.
It's like the Breakfast Club principal.
Yeah, but, you know, in the early 2000s... These two fucking... These golden gods descended from the heavens, and their names were Grant Morrison and Joss Whedon. And they said, hey, shouldn't Cyclops be fucking cool? If he's the leader of the coolest fucking team, shouldn't he logically be the coolest fucking guy? And they put in all this work. They made these storylines where Cyclops, like, grew as a character. And he turned from this uptight sort of rule Nazi who nobody liked into this sort of, like, maverick... take no prisoners fucking super stud who was like always 5 steps ahead of the enemy, this like tactical genius who was willing to break the rules. He fucking started like just kicking everyone's ass, you know. He started like Magneto started becoming more of a good guy, and Cyclops became this perfect combination of Xavier and Magneto's philosophies. Like he took the best from both of these, like from like the Malcolm X and the other guy, Martin Luther King, whose name I forgot. That's who they always represented, those two characters. And Cyclops became this like amalgamation, taking in the best of both of their philosophies and coming this like mutant hero, this like outlaw hero, this badass who like suddenly Cyclops is the coolest fucking character to read about. And that continued for like a good 10 years. And they just kept upping the ante. Suddenly you get to when they moved to San Francisco where they started the Utopia, and Cyclops, he, like, gets his own island fortress for all the X-Men, and he's flying around on a fucking jetpack, and he's, like, riding in convertibles, and he's like, yeah, I'm fucking Cyclops! I fuck the hottest girls! I got I-beams! I'm the coolest guy ever! He's the best character ever. I fucking love Cyclops. He's awesome. And, like, he became, like, they slowly had him becoming, like, really good friends with Wolverine. And they had this, like, buddy cop thing going on for a while where they, like, had grown to respect each other over all this. And that's what I fucking love. I love, like, when the continuity from all these years of stories manifests as characters, their relationships changing and growing together. Because, you know, Wolverine and Cyclops, who, like, butted heads for, like, 40 years, suddenly Cyclops has become this badass, and Wolverine has grown into this, like, mature, you know, hero, and they've become, like, really good friends. And instead of, like, fighting over Jean, now she's dead, and they're, like, kind of bonded over their love for Jean, and they're, like, best buddies, and it was great. And it's this beautiful era of X-Men comics where I'm like, you know, all's right with the world. And then stuff started getting fucky. You know, Marvel can't let a good thing exist for too long. They gotta fuck themselves in some way. They gotta rock the boat. There was this storyline called Schism, where like,
oh no,
in the pages of Wolverine's comic, Wolverine's Ongoing by Jason Aaron, who is a great writer, who I love. I loved his Wolverine. I loved his Thor before he started doing the girl thing. There was a storyline with this group of people who wanted revenge on Wolverine. And it was like the brilliant plan to finally, like, Wolverine had wronged them all at some point in his long life, and they had planned this, they had schemed this revenge for so long. And all of these guys, these like weird supervillains, showed up to beat up Wolverine, and he kills all of them. But then at the end, you find out that his ultimate plan was that all of these like weird supervillains who Wolverine has killed were actually, like, his illegitimate children. Like, Wolverine's, like, because he's been around, Wolverine fucks. He's a man who fucks. He's been around fucking, he's sired so many illegitimate bastards that this guy collected them all and turned them into supervillains and had Wolverine kill his own children so that he could reveal it to him. And it's like this devastating blow. And so, like, Wolverine... In character, this was a nice bit of character building, because Wolverine goes fucking crazy, and he goes, we can't fucking have children fighting our battles anymore. We have to protect kids. I murdered all my children. So Wolverine is going apeshit, and he's like, I don't want to, we can't have kids fighting anymore. But at this point, Cyclops has matured into the opposite direction, and he's become this, like, badass motherfucker. Like, no, this is a war. We're at war with the world. We have to have children fight our battles. So they butt heads, and I thought Schism was a pretty good story. I hated it because it was sad to see a friendship be ruined, but it was cool. It was well written. What am I even fucking talking about? You see, you have to go so far back to even get to where we're talking about.
We were talking about Champions. And how much you hated Scott.
This is going to be a 5-hour podcast. It's just going to be Champions. Going into the history of the Marvel Universe that you need to understand in order to understand why I hate everything about this one comic that I read last week.
So, we went down the list of people you hate.
No. I'm not even done. I'm not done. I'm not done talking about Teeny Bopper Scott. I haven't even gotten to him yet. That's what started this.
No.
Okay, so we're at this point. I have to take my sweater off. I got the hot sweats! Ah! Comics! So this is like, now we're up to like, this was like 2009, a couple years, like 7 years ago.
Schism, I think, happened 6 years ago.
Fuck! So now we're at this point where there's two teams of X-Men. Wolverine has taken a bunch of the children, he's gone back to New York, and started a new Xavier Institute. He calls it the Jean Grey Institute. So Wolverine is now dedicated to, I guess, protecting the kids, and like, Wolverine has become dedicated to Xavier's dream. Mm-hmm. He's started a new school for gifted youngsters. He's wearing a suit and tie. He's trying to be like a changed man, a principal. Meanwhile, Cyclops is over here in like the San Francisco area in Utopia, and he's become like a they've switched. Cyclops has become the rebel, and Wolverine has become the uptight, sort of rules Nazi.
And it gets worse with like AVX.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that, baby.
Oh,
I'm getting to it. So that's how the characters had matured, and that's good maturation. That's good character growth. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to read about. But oh yeah, throughout all of this, Beast has become the worst person who ever existed. Should I get to Beast yet? I'm not even at Beast yet.
Oh no, he's not even a part of the Champions.
I have to start. Well, it's his fault that Teeny Bopper Cyclops exists. Oh, no. So I have to talk about Beast, and that's going to be another hour, because they ruined Beast 2 in a way that's so insidious. I'll get to it. But I have to talk about, okay, so there's fucking Wolverine has a school, Cyclops has an island, and they don't like each other anymore. And now there's this event called Avengers vs. X-Men, and it's the worst thing that ever happened. To that point. Worse things happened after it. Mm-hmm. But, basically, the Phoenix Force, it's coming back to Earth. And Cyclops and the Avengers, they don't like each other, and they gotta fight. I'm getting, you have to explain this one, because I need a break.
So in AVX, the Phoenix Force returns to Earth and decides to split itself between 5 chosen people.
Yeah.
It's either 5 or 6, I can't remember.
Cyclops wanted it to go to Hope, who is his...
his child from a different dimension. Whatever.
She was the first new mutant born. She was the first new mutant born after House of M, where mutants stopped being born, and she was the most powerful mutant that anyone had ever seen. She had the potential to reignite the mutant race, and she was raised by Cable in the future. Cable is Cyclops' son from an alternate future, and he comes back sometimes, and he's a time travel guy with a big gun, and he's really cool, and everybody likes him. He has a lot of pouches and a big shoulder pad. Cable is a good man. He raises the girl. Her name is Hope Summers now. She's like Scott's adopted granddaughter, I guess. And she looks just like Jean, because everyone who is important in X-Men comics is a redhead who looks like Jean. I don't know why. Nobody knows why. The Phoenix Force, Cyclops wants it to go to her because it's going to come to Earth no matter what. And it might destroy everyone unless it is harnessed by the right person. So Cyclops, in his infinite wisdom, because Cyclops is the only smart person in the Marvel Universe, he's the only superhero who's still a superhero, the only guy I trust anymore. Cyclops says, okay, look, it's coming here. It's going to destroy everyone unless we train Hope to harness the fucking Phoenix Force. I know how to do this. We're the X-Men. We've been handling the Phoenix for fucking 50 years. Just let me handle it. I know what I'm doing.
But the Avengers, they just shit all over him. They're like, no.
Because
fuck you.
Because in order for these event comics to work, in order for these superhero battles to work,
there has to be conflict.
One side always has to be made up of idiots.
Yeah.
One side is always out of character, always retarded. So the Avengers, Captain America becomes this like weird, like brain dead fascist asshole who's like, fuck you, we have to kill the 15-year-old girl, we have to murder her because I'm a fearful hate-mongering idiot.
You know, I enjoyed AVX to an extent.
So they fight, basically.
Yeah. They do fight, and it was stupid because they separated all the fights into like its own thing.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
The fights were always stupid. It's like, well, clearly, who would win in a fight with the Thing versus Namor deep at the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah.
Well, I guess clearly the Thing does.
yeah. Who wins in a fight between Iron Man and Magneto? Apparently Iron Man somehow. Even though he's made of the stuff that Magneto's one power. Magneto has one power, killing Iron Man.
That was one of my favorite bits in the entire AVX dialogue. It's just Iron Man's like, you can't do nothing to me, Magneto. This suit isn't something that you can manipulate. Magneto's like, oh no, whatever shall I do? As he drops the Golden Gate Bridge on Iron Man. Like, are you kidding me? And Daredevil versus Psylocke. I wonder who would win. Nobody, I guess. They can just do it on the rooftop or something.
So anyways, the fallout of AVX.
Ugh.
So because Captain America, stuck his dick in the punch bowl and basically fucked with the X-Men and made this problem 10,000 times worse than it needed to be, what happened was the Phoenix Force ended up getting split. And it went into 5 people. It went into Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus, Magic, Namor.
Namor.
And so they became the Phoenix Five, and they took over the fucking world. But they fixed the world.
Yeah, it wasn't even forceful per se.
Yeah,
it was just we want to help the Earth.
They didn't become tyrants or despots. They didn't become corrupted by it. They literally fixed the world. They ended all crime. The Marvel Universe was at peace for a brief span, and that Captain America fucking hated it. That really burned his bacon. That another superhero saved the world forever and not him. The Avengers wanted to be the glory hogs, basically. How dare you create world peace forever and end hunger and end suffering throughout the entire planet? How dare you actually be superheroes with this power that I don't approve of? So they kept pestering them. They kept fucking poking the bear and kicking the hornet's nest. Captain America and the Avengers became like this weird mosquito, constantly pestering Cyclops, who was fucking busy fixing the world. And eventually they pushed him so far that they caused the Phoenix to briefly go corrupted. They caused Cyclops to lose control, and the fallout was that in a moment of rage, he killed Charles Xavier. Mm-hmm. And everyone hated him for it forever. Even though no one in the Marvel Universe has ever respected the X-Men, even though nobody has ever respected Charles Xavier, suddenly, because they have a hate boner for Scott, Scott's the worst person who ever lived. Scott is now mutant Hitler. He's worse than Magneto ever was in the Avengers' eyes.
I want a shirt that says Magneto is right.
I do want that shirt. It's a good shirt. I want a shirt that says Cyclops was right.
That's another good one.
And that became a meme for many years, still to this day. On 4chan and Co and stuff, that the Cyclops was right meme, because Cyclops was right. They tried to portray it. They still try to portray it like he went evil. He went rogue. He's a bad guy now, but he's not. Everything he does is logical and noble. But the narrative wants you to think that he's become Magneto at his worst, even though he's become the greatest hero in the Marvel Universe. It's one of those weird things where the narrative doesn't understand how the people are reading it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't understand how badly it's written.
Whatever makes sales, I guess.
Yeah, so
whatever continues it.
So the fallout of all of this is that even though Scott was totally in the right for the entire Always. Scott has always been in the right, and he always will be. All the superheroes hate Cyclops. He is considered a pariah now. He's a bad guy. He has to live in an old Weapon X facility in the fucking frozen tundra in Canada because it's the only place where the cops won't come for him. He has like a secret team of X-Men, and okay, so everyone hates Cyclops for no reason. Now we get to Beast. You remember Beast, right? Henry McCoy on the X-Men, the animated series. He's this, he's an archetype. He's a character that everyone understands. He looks like a monster. He looks like a beast, but he has the mind of a genius. He's a brave, noble, compassionate soul dwelling in the body of this abomination. That's what makes the character interesting. The fact that he looks like a big scary gorilla man, but he's a great person. Marvel didn't like that, I guess. At some point, slowly, this happened insidiously over the last decade or so, they slowly turned the Beast that everyone knows and loves into the worst person who ever lived. Like, the Beast has become the supervillain that Marvel thinks Cyclops has become. I read X-Men comics and I want to barf. Like, I don't know, he gets... So the Beast does all these horrible things for a decade and, like, is never called out on it in the narrative, except for one time, in one glorious comic where the Watcher showed up in Beast's room. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There was one comic where the Watcher is like the narrator of the entire Marvel universe.
Well,
Was. But, his job is to watch. He's the audience surrogate for the Marvel universe. He's a cosmic guy who watches everything that happens.
The Marvel voyeur.
Yeah. And there was this one comic, I forget which one it was, but where, like, the Watcher just comes into Hank's room at night, and he wakes him up, and he goes, "I am the Watcher. I have seen all that was and all that will be. Hank McCoy, you are the worst person I've ever met." And I'm like, I really feel like that page was written by, like, some disgruntled guy at Marvel who saw what was happening and wanted to have his say before they fired him. I wish I knew who wrote it. But, so they had, like, 10 years of, like, everyone vilifying Scott while the Beast was quietly turning into, like, the worst person who ever lived. And it culminated in this really awful storyline. This awful, bloated, like, 3-year storyline by Brian Michael Bendis, where, like, the Beast, in order to teach Cyclops a lesson, to show him how far Cyclops had fallen, he invented a time machine, and he brought the original 5 X-Men from, like, the 60s as teenagers back into the present, I guess to traumatize them and show them how horrible the Marvel Universe is. I guess his plan that, like, his genius plan was that Cyclops would see his younger self and go, "Oh, I guess I've become Hitler. I guess you were right all along, Beast. Whoops." But instead what happened is he brought the original 5 X-Men here, these teenagers from the past, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, younger Beast, and Angel. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't get them back. The time machine only worked one way. He built a one-way time machine. That's how fucking retarded he is. So they're stuck there to this day, but...
There's so much wrong with that.
Yeah.
Go on.
So he's created all kinds of horrible paradox that really, like, that break the entire Marvel universe if you think about them too hard. So instead of his plan working, instead of showing present Scott how far he had fallen in Beast's eyes, it just made Scott, like, more angry at Beast and more righteous. And it made everyone angry at Beast, and they kicked him out of the X-Men, and he joined the Inhumans. The Inhumans are like the bag cereal X-Men. I don't have the energy to talk about how much I hate the Inhumans, but I will next week, maybe.
On that note, IVX is going to be a thing soon.
It is going to be a thing.
But after Death Effects, we gotta wait for that.
Fucking, the Beast was a bad guy. So basically, he invented a one-way time machine like a fucking dummy, and he brought these teenage X-Men to the present, and they're still there. This was like 3 or 4 years ago this happened.
They're not even teenagers anymore.
They haven't been sent back. They're still there, just fucking around the Marvel Universe, ruining continuity with their very presence, ruining everything, making everything dumb, making the whole universe dumber. And fuck,
Getting sweats.
I'm pouring right now. So anyways, and they just want to kill off Cyclops. That's like the crux of why I hate it so much.
Well, they did.
Yeah, they did. He's dead.
But now he's back again. Younger. Not evil yet.
Yeah, they want Cyclops to be killed off so that they can have a younger version of Cyclops and reset the character arc and get rid of all the character development. They just want to replace him. Replace this character that has grown for 70 years. All this character development, they want to throw it in a fucking garbage can so they can replace this character literally with his younger self. Literally with a less developed version of him so that they can have a new, like, weird status quo thing. I hate it. So that's 4 people on the Champions team.
Now you have to get to the girls. You got Miss Marvel.
So yeah, those are the 4 people that I hate. Are we still talking about Champions? It's been an hour.
Yeah, we're back to Champions.
I'm sorry. I apologize to America.
We had to talk about why bringing in young Scott was terrible, and all the things that were connected to it. Now we are back to Champions, and on to whether or not you hate Miss Marvel and
All right,
Vision's daughter.
yeah, so that's those guys. Miles Morales, who is not interesting and I hate him. Nova, who is not interesting and I hate him. Amadeus Cho, who is not interesting and I hate them. Young Scott Summers, who is the worst thing ever created and I hate him. And then there's Miss Marvel, who I talked about last week. Miss Marvel's an okay character. I have no problems with her. She's written poopily in this comic. And then
she's kind of the killjoy.
Yeah, she's being written as like the killjoy, and they even
mom.
They even address it. They have like this fourth wall breaking, like, you're not gonna treat me like the woman is always treated on these teams, like a buzzkill, as she's being a buzzkill.
Yeah, literally as she's being a buzzkill.
So like, Mark Waid, because everyone that works at Marvel is a huge SJW, he is aware of these storytelling tropes. He's aware of what he's doing, but he's too lazy to do something else. So he thinks that if he addresses these stereotypes, he can get away with doing them by addressing them and seeming like he's self-aware about it. Not that I have a problem with tropes. I love tropes. I have a problem with Marvel being cowardly about using tropes and trying to fucking like fourth wall their way around it and try to be meta about it. But anyways, and finally, the final member of the Champions, Vision.
My homegirl.
Marvel did not waste any time ruining this character. She was just invented, and she's already ruined forever. Vision, I talked about her. I talked about the Vision in the last, whatever the last edition is. She is the Vision's daughter. He made a little family for himself. He made a daughter, and he had a series, and it was like the best series, the best comic in like 5 years. It was really good. Everyone loved it.
I'm still hurting over its conclusion.
Yeah. And you know, Viv goes through this character arc, and at the end of it, you know, she's kind of like this kind of sad, kind of hurt, broken teen who's been through a lot of shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to know more about that, read Vision. Like, we can't emphasize that enough. Read Vision. It's like, what, 2 volumes long? It's not that long. Just pick it up. It's great.
So she's on this Champions team, and I see it, and I'm like, oh, cool. This new character is being integrated into the larger Marvel universe. I'm okay. I like her. I'd like to read about her.
Issue 2, the end. You know,
not even the end. Before that, when issue 2 is that all the champions are trying to get to know each other, and they're sitting around a campfire telling stories. And I think Miss Marvel suggests, let's tell ghost stories.
Yeah.
And there is this page that is one of it, like the worst things I've ever seen in a comic. Just like Viv goes in like this weird like alien Starfire Teen Titans Go voice of like not understanding humanity, even though she was like totally human before.
Oh yeah.
They're like writing her as like as like this weird robot archetype who doesn't understand anything.
Yeah.
Like they want her to be the Data of the team, learning about humanity, even though that's not who she is. She for all intents and purposes, she's a human female girl. She goes to a high school. She's not like learning about humanity.
She's learning about the grievances of
Yeah,
being
but I mean,
human.
like, she's not that kind of character.
Yeah.
But they have her playing that role, and, you know, Miss Marvel suggests telling ghost stories. And Viv goes, a ghost story. A ghost is something that is alive, but not really. Like an android. Is that a microaggression?
Oh my god! No.
They did it.
Marvel, your Tumblr showing.
They did it. They fucking did it. They put the word microaggression into a comic, and not only did they put the word microaggression into a comic, they put it in the mouth of a character who had all the potential to be interesting. A character that we all liked and wanted to see more of. Immediately ruined. Immediately they've taken her and they've perverted her into this weird Marvel Tumblr bullshit.
It gets worse. Oh no.
And then at the end of the book, the Hulk fucks her.
Yep. You know, when I saw that last panel,
The last page of the book is Viv making out with the fucking teeny bopper Asian bro Hulk.
when I saw that, all I could think was it must be like kissing a horse. Just he's so massive.
How could they do this? How could they do this to me? How could they?
I don't like it.
Oh my god.
And you know, before that, like all of that was led up to her and Amadeus kissing, making out. You know, they're like they were, you know, doing the whole teenage thing. You know, have you had your first kiss? And she's like, no, I haven't had my first kiss. And like starts leaning in Nova's direction. And in the end, it's Amadeus Cho. Like,
just that fucking microaggression. Man. I want to. It makes my skin crawl.
All of it does. It's all bad.
It shows the lack of self-awareness on Marvel's behalf, that they think that a hyper-intelligent android who understands, who can have all information in the world in her brain at once, like a fucking genius, that she would have this personality of like, don't microaggression me, don't fucking white male privilege, you cis, you know, that they think that is like enlightenment. They truly do. They think that that's how like a hyper-intelligent android would speak. Don't microaggression me.
You know, Champions had the potential to be really good. The first issue was actually really good by itself for what it is. Like, compared to what we've been dealing with lately, it was sunny, it was upbeat, it was positive, and Marvel lately has not been any of those things. It's been devastating and sad.
And inclusive. Don't forget inclusive.
Oh, yeah.
Devastating, sad, shitty, miserable, pathetic, poorly written, but inclusive. They've sacrificed it all for inclusivity.
But there's, like, you're right. That second issue was really off-putting for a number of reasons.
It was revolting. And, like I imagine that I am Tom King. That I have written this story that is being praised, critically acclaimed, as one of the best stories ever told in the comics medium. Some people are saying that. That it's up there with, you know, like Watchmen or fucking Swamp Thing or Animal Man or whatever.
What is?
The Vision.
Oh, yeah. Right. You're right.
Yeah. And I imagine that I've written this piece of literature that has touched people. That is like a diamond in the rough. And in the sea of shit that is like Marvel Comics, that I've written this amazing story. And I've created this character who has so much potential. And immediately they stick her in a book and have her complaining about microaggressions. If I was the guy who wrote The Vision, I would be at Marvel right now throwing Molotovs. I'd be losing my shit.
Gotta develop Avalanche for Marvel.
Oh, God. There was one thing I liked about Champions. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the one panel that gave me a chuckle, a sensible chuckle. It was when they were asking, when Viv mentions that she emits Wi-Fi so they can use their phones. And they say, cool, what's your Wi-Fi password? And her answer is, even an android can cry. Which is right up there in the upper right corner of the panel cast background. One of my favorite panels of all time. Even an android can cry. That was a nice, cute little nod. It gave me a sensible chuckle. I read that and I'm like, hey, this comic's not bad. The very next page, she's whining about microaggressions and making out with a weird Hulk guy who's not the Hulk. Sucking his big green dick. Filling her fuel canisters with cum. Hulk cum.
I wonder if it's like bright green like the rest of them.
Ugh. Anyways, that's Champions. It ruined my life, and now it's ruined this podcast. It's been 1 hour. Everything I spent so long praising the Vision comics in the last panel cast, all of it's ruined now. They've blown it all up. I'm like Charlton Heston.
Those maniacs.
Charlton Heston, and there's a giant, the Statue of Liberty is a giant broken Vision on the beach. She's been mangled, her head is ripped off, and her arm is sticking out of the water. And I'm just sitting there on the beach. You maniacs! You blew it all up! Damn you! Damn yous all to hell! I didn't like it. I didn't care for Champions.
That's fair.
8 out of 10. Anyways.
Yeah, moving on.
Now we can finally talk about the things that happened this week. This is the giant-sized panel cast. This is the special 3rd episode anniversary edition. It's got to be. This is an 80-page panel cast. It costs $10. So let's talk about this week. You and I, yesterday, before we talk about the comics, we saw Doctor Strange, the movie. Because I've just been unleashing this torrent of sweat and rage for an hour, I'll let you talk first. What did you think of the Doctor Strange movie? Starring Benedict Cumberbunch, the Scrotum Supreme. That's his name. He's a great actor. It's not an insult.
Yeah,
That's what I call him.
I just want to say firsthand that I don't find him attractive. But
No.
but I tell that to the world. He's a great actor. He was perfect for
Great
this role.
casting choice.
Yeah, no, he was perfect.
Like, within 5 minutes of watching the movie, I didn't see Benedict Cumberbatch anymore.
Nope.
I just saw Stephen Strange.
Yep.
He totally... It was just like when Robert Downey stepped into that fucking...
He embraces it. He owns it. He is
Yes,
Doctor
it's the role he was
Strange.
born for.
I loved it. Doctor Strange is definitely up there as far as my favorite Marvel movies go. I put it
Yeah.
up there with Guardians of the Galaxy, honestly. It was
Give me a top 5.
top 5. Not in any kind of particular order, but for sure Guardians, Doctor Strange. I did not care that much for Ant-Man. I guess I can skip that. I still had fun with the first Avengers movie. I thought that was really well done. Winter Soldier was good. Lower top 5 probably. What am I even missing?
I'm gonna...
Thor? Thor was fun.
The first Thor was okay,
The first Thor was fun. Does anybody even remember the second Thor? Honestly, honest to God. Does anybody remember Ragnarok? I don't. I watched it, and I don't remember any of it.
Let me try to give my top 5 here.
Yeah.
Descending from 5. X-Men Days of Future Past was really good.
Yeah.
The ending alone was one of the best things ever in a movie that I've ever seen. How the ending just totally retconned the third X-Men movie. That was such a fuck yeah moment.
Yep. That was good.
I'll remember that moment in the theater for the rest of my life. Civil War was great. Did you not like it?
I don't think they should have called it a Civil War movie.
Number 3, the first Avengers. The first Iron Man.
Yeah, I forgot all about that
Yeah.
movies. I love those.
And number 1, the greatest Marvel movie of all, perhaps the greatest film of all time, Spider-Man 2.
Which one?
The real Spider-Man 2.
Oh, no.
With Tobey.
Oh, no.
You don't like Spider-Man 2? Spider-Man 2 is the Citizen Kane of movies. What are you doing to me right now? What is this? What is this hesitation? It's like you're about to tell me you cheated on me or something. That's the look on your face right now. You're about to tell me the kid isn't mine.
I don't remember anything about Spider-Man 2. I remember the horrors
You're
of
like,
Spider-Man 3, and that is all I remember.
You look like you're about to tell me
what
the secret of my black son.
What?
You're gonna burst that bubble for me.
What happened in Spider-Man 2? I remember the amazing
Spider-Man 2 was
series.
Doc Ock.
Okay. Yeah, see, I don't remember that.
That fucking scene on the train? The greatest scene in the history of cinema. It's fucking Dr. Alan Grant seeing the brontosauruses for the first time. It's that, and it's like, Captain Jack Sparrow on his sinking little boat stepping onto the dock at the beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean, and then the subway scene in Spider-Man 2.
See, I don't really
When
remember.
all those fucking New Yorkers, they take his mask off. I'm gonna start crying again. And they say, he's just a kid. He's no older than my son. And Dr. Ock is gonna start wrecking shit. He's gonna beat the shit out of Spider-Man and those fucking New Yorkers. The real America shines through. That's something that we need right now in this divided country. Okay? With this fucking election that we've just been through. Okay? Where we've gotten to the point as a country where we say that elections are something we need to heal from. How insane is that? That the phrase, we have to heal from this, is said after a fucking election. That's how broken this country is, okay? We've got people, even after the election, crying. People breaking down in tears about Donald Trump. People are so fucking sad right now. The country is tearing itself apart. This poisonous election has ruined us as a people. But I'm telling you, just sit down and go watch Spider-Man 2 again, and you will feel the spirit, the power of the real America pumping through your veins, marching through your body like electric soldiers, filling you with power all throughout your being. Your essence will transcend. You will achieve broken brilliance as you feel the power and clap for the new day of the real America. As you fucking see those New Yorkers, they come together, they put aside all differences, and they say, Dr. Octopus, if you mess with one of us, you gotta mess with all of us. And then Spider-Man, he fucking gets up. He's not wearing his mask anymore. The secret identity is gone. Everybody has phones. Everybody has cameras. Nobody's even so much as taking a picture. These people will keep this secret to their grave because that's how much they care about Spider-Man. And he's fucking holding the train with his arms. Ah! 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 It's the greatest film ever made. How dare you not sing the praises every day, every morning? You should wake up. The first thing you should do 5 times a day, you should get on your hands and knees and face towards Mecca and praise Spider-Man 2.
I guess I'll rewatch it at some point. I don't really remember.
What were we talking about? The Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, we were talking about how great Doctor Strange is.
Oh, yeah. I was supposed to put Doctor Strange somewhere in that top 5.
Somewhere.
Okay, top 7, because, Doctor Strange and Guardians, I'll also put them in the top 7 Marvel movies. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, no.
Spider-Man 2 is number 1, though.
I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. Just everything about it. It was fun. Like, he really owned the character, like we mentioned earlier. The effects, like the special effects alone, I don't know, everyone's like, oh, it's the Marvel's Inception, but I thought it was better.
It really looked like those old comic book covers from, like, Jack Kirby,
yeah.
where, like, all the fucking colors and the weird shit in the dark dimension. Like, just the fucking
old
scene.
foil covers.
Oh, God, yes!
Yes.
It looked like a special edition, like, 90s, like, foil cover that, like, that glimmers in the light. That fucking scene where the Ancient One first throws him out of his body, and it's like this 10-minute scene of him just, like, having this total mental mindfuck and, like, seeing all the wonders and horrors of the infinite cosmos. And that was so cool. It was a good movie.
It really was. I can't praise it enough.
All the casting was great. The Ancient One was awesome. I think this might... People might have complained about her being a woman, but I think that was probably blown out of proportion.
They actually complained specifically about her being a white
That's
woman.
right, that's right. It wasn't that she was a woman, it was that she was white.
Even though she's a great fucking actress.
She was so good. Like, don't know.
believed it.
I don't know if I would have wanted like a different kind of ancient one. Because how many times have we seen that archetype of an old ancient wise like Tibetan guru or a Chinese guru with like with a fucking Pai Mei beard and a fucking, we've already seen that in every movie ever made. It was a brilliant casting choice to make the ancient one a woman and a cool woman, a hot babe. She was awesome. She was charismatic. She felt like she embodied that like that simultaneous ferocity and compassion. She was good. She was a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the supporting cast was really good. I feel like the antagonists were a little bit forgettable, but
I like what they did with Baron Mordo because in the comics and also like I have an old like from like 2007 like this Marvel animated Doctor Strange movie that was really kind of boring and not very good, but I watched it like 10 times. That, same basic plot. It's Doctor Strange. He learns his powers. He fights Dormammu or whatever. In the original Doctor Strange origin, Baron Mordo was like the Anakin. He was power hungry, and it corrupted him, and he like tried to kill the Ancient One, and that's why he became a villain. And this movie did something like a little bit more unique and a little bit more clever with it, where like instead of being like a power hungry bad influence, Baron Mordo was kind of like the moral rules Nazi a little bit, and he was upset with like the Ancient One breaking the rules, and it was his sort of devotion to the cause, and it was his strong moral sense that caused him to become a villain by the end. Yeah. Instead of like any kind of like typical overdone, greedy, I just want to be. That was like the Castilian role.
Or like in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Like with the Wasp.
Oh, yeah. Ant-Man was a good one too. Top 8 Marvel movies. Ant-Man is on there. You didn't like Ant-Man?
I was not blown away by it.
Well, get out of my house.
I just felt like Paul Rudd wasn't very Paul Ruddy in it. Very watered down. Compared to what I'm used to seeing out of him. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I really like Doctor Strange. I really like the supporting cast. Rachel McAdams, who, if you're not familiar, she was the main antagonist in Mean Girls, and now she is the straight shooter, I guess, that just kind of helps Doctor Strange out along the way.
Wong was great. I loved Wong.
Wong was the best.
He was awesome.
Oh yeah, no,
Papa
he was
Wong.
Good.
They did a really good job of I guess making me give a shit about Doctor Strange, because I've always felt like Doctor Strange in the comics is a character that sort of only works as a supporting character. Like he'll show up in like a Gwenpool or in someone else's comic and do some mystical stuff.
Or like in the original Civil War, he just kind of shows up and he's like,
yeah, because his powers are so like beyond the scope of what people can grasp. Like there's no rules to them. So like
if he was always on a team, like
yeah,
everything would always be fine.
Like I feel like reading Doctor Strange comics or trying to, I always feel like, what the hell is going on? Like, how can I get invested in a story with no rules? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't read enough of the character. But he's always been, like, one of those that's been a little difficult for me to care about or to grasp. And they did a really good job in this movie of making him understandable. And this is who he is and what he does, and there he goes.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they did, like, all of the origins and, like, the traumas of what he went through as a neurosurgeon. Like,
yeah.
It was really good. And, of course, spoiler alert, the actual, not villain, like just the cosmic force in which the antagonists were trying to get a hold of, I was very excited about.
Oh, Dormammu?
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
I was shaking in my chair. I was like, yes, I need this.
How did you feel about the look of Dormammu?
I had no problem with it. I feel like it was fine. Like the way that they portrayed him
like
in the movie is suiting to the movie and its theme and what they were going for.
Like,
if they had just done the actual Dormammu, like design him and his like
a guy with a scary head.
Yeah, like I feel like that would have been very not thematic.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
I don't think it's thematic.
I get what they were going for. Like I like if he's in the dark dimension, of course that he would be like some giant eldritch fucking face in the clouds, man. But it kind of gave me vibes of the Cloud Galactus in the second Fantastic Four movie, where like,
or like in Green Lantern, what was his name?
Oh yeah, Parallax was just like
he was a big old angry cloud too.
Yeah.
But they did it better.
It was definitely better done than in the Fantastic Four movie. Because in that movie that was like in the early days of the Marvel movies where like they didn't want to be too comic booky or too hokey. They wanted to put like the X-Men in weird leather costumes, which now look way more dated than the superhero costumes could ever look.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like they can't have Galactus be a big purple guy with a helmet. He has to be a faceless cloud of
like
bullshit.
a maelstrom.
Yeah.
Um.
Anyways, it was a minor thing that I was like, well, I wish he was a guy with a scary head, but it didn't bother me that much. It was a great movie.
No, I'm glad that it wasn't that way, and I really liked the ending.
Yeah.
And there are 2 ending or after ending credits.
Oh man, the first after credits was so cool.
I am really excited for the new Thor movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I hope it's not forgettable like Ragnarok. Please.
Yeah.
Please no.
When we were standing outside the theater, you mentioned that you said like the second Thor movie was pretty forgettable, and I was about to say like, no, it's not. Remember that well, what about the part where the doctor was in it? He was an elf. He was Malekith. Natalie Portman did something.
2 broke girls. Shit.
White male privilege, straight, cis male, President Trump, election, hashtag free all niggers, hashtag outlaw abortions, hashtag free all niggers. It's time for my people to rise up. Hashtag fucking bullet hole hoodie, Luke Cage.
Sorry, you saying all this reminded me. I had a customer once who, I had an employee. She was black. She was the only black girl in the company. And I had a customer who was a little bit mentally unstable, and he came in and would hit on her, and he was like,
oh, no.
He's like, I had a vision
I
had
a premonition.
He's like, I had a vision that my father Odin was going to give me the power to free all the blacks.
Whoa! What a hero! That guy needs a movie. I want a movie about the mentally deranged comic book fan who frees all the blacks.
Well, technically there is a manga that you can read called Inuyashiki that is about an old man.
I ain't reading no nip shit. I ain't reading no backwards ass black and white fake comics from a fake land of fake people.
But Digibro would like it. He'd probably like Inuyashiki.
Digibro's being converted. Digibro loves American comics now because of my influence.
That's good. That's horrifying and good all at the same time.
Did you see Luke Cage?
I have not seen Luke Cage yet. I did see Daredevil. I did not care for the second season of Daredevil at all.
Neither did I. I cared about the first half of the second season of Daredevil.
And then it just goes into this downward spiral.
It went into this. It went into this, like, Elektra hole.
What did they fucking do to Punisher?
Oh, my God. He didn't do anything in the last episode.
No.
The whole season is about, like, Daredevil versus Punisher. This amazing philosophical butting of heads between these two diametrically opposed, brilliant characters who have so much pathos and characterization to them. This whole season is about these two characters butting heads, and it's the greatest thing ever, and they jumped the gun with the hand shit. They introduced it too early, and the whole thing went down into this fucking ninja hole, and fucking, I didn't like the actor who played Elektra at all. I hate weird accents. I hate, Elektra has to have a dumb accent. Wonder Woman has a dumb accent. Why can't they just have them talk normal? Why do they cast these fucking charisma vacuum women as these fucking characters? They want everyone to care about these female superheroes. They want representation. They want little girls to love Wonder Woman and love Elektra. So why don't they cast people with charisma? Why do they cast these girls with these like weird accents that sound ridiculous? They don't know how to talk. They talk like that fucking anime snob. I'm gonna see the Wonder Woman movie, and the whole movie is gonna be Wonder Woman sitting in a swivel chair going, Digibro is wrong about Sword Art Online, and he doesn't understand he's a bad guy, and I am a 35-year-old bald man. Wonder Woman is gonna be a 35-year-old bald man who reviews anime badly on the internet because she has a stupid fucking accent, because they cast these fucking emotionless, charisma-devoid broads as these characters. Elektra sucked. Wonder Woman is gonna suck. She already sucked in the Batman v Superman movie. Elektra sucked in Daredevil Season 2, and they focused way too much on her at the end. They turned it into this boring, like, this queer love story between her and Matt Murdock that nobody fucking cares about. Elektra serves one purpose. The character of Elektra is only there to die. That she's not interesting. She's not cool. I hate her. She should just fucking die and come back evil and then die again and get it over with. I don't want to hear about her. I don't want to see her falling in love with Matt Murdock. I don't want to fucking... That weird scene in the last episode where there was like 100 hand ninjas just patiently waiting outside the door for Matt Murdock to finish his 20-minute fucking I'm in love with you monologue locked in this broom closet before they go out and fight. The ninjas were just waiting there. They were just fucking standing there. Are you done? Are you done falling in love yet? Are you done having your big emotional fucking The Notebook scene? Can we fight now, please? And then they have this fucking tepid fucking this soft fucking soft penis battle on the rooftop. The Punisher shows up and shoots like one bullet and then fucks off and does nothing. They fucking, what the, yeah, they goofy, like, yeah, that thumbs up. Oh man, they screwed the pooch on that one. Daredevil season 2 started strong and ended poop.
I'm like traumatized right now.
Anyways.
Oh my god.
Luke Cage, on the other hand.
Yeah, how is that? I hear good things about it. Daredevil started strong and then sort of got a little bad at the end, I thought. Luke Cage was consistently okay. Mediocre.
For the entire run. I mean, like, there were parts of it. There were certain scenes in Luke Cage that I thought were some of the coolest things I've ever seen. Some of the best scenes ever. There were, like, moments where it came close to greatness. But for the most part, I kind of was spacing out, and I think binging is an unhealthy way to watch shows anyways, because you get bored by the 7th episode, no matter how good a show is. So that could be part of it. But it didn't... There were some really, like, the scene where he's, you know, wearing the bullet hole hoodie and Method Man writes that cool rap song about the Black Power, and that part was awesome.
You know, it's funny, too, because there were a lot of people complaining online that Luke Cage was a little too black.
No, fuck that. That's bullshit.
And you know, I just want to sit there and I just want to tell them, like, do you even know what Luke Cage is about? Why would you say that? Why would you say
Luke Cage
he's too black?
He cannot be black enough. I want him to be the blackest, niggest ass, fucking booferest, jungle bunny, fucking tar baby. What's another one? This is Trump's America. I can say these things now. I want him to be the niggest of all possible nigs.
The big nig.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was good. The show was definitely sufficiently black. It could have even been blacker, and I would have been happier. Yeah, you can't fucking take the blackness out of Luke Cage. What do you? The whole point of the character is being black. Mm-hmm. Like, that's.
They were like, it's just not credible the way he's acting. He's not acting. It seems a little stereotypical. And I'm just like, stop. Yeah. Stop talking. Read the old comics. Yeah. You know, if you're gonna shit on Luke Cage for how they're presenting him now, you're not gonna like the old comics.
Yeah, like the inclusivity thing that I've complained about, and that everyone complains. It's not just about, oh, they're taking white characters and white men and turning them into girls or black or minorities or whatever. It's just that regardless of race, let the character be who the character is.
Yeah.
Like, Luke Cage is... He's a fucking 70s exploitation. He's Shaft. Mm-hmm. That's who he is.
Yep.
And that's who he should be.
Which, anybody... If you're not reading the new Luke Cage comics, I do recommend them. They're fun. There's only going to be 4 of them, and it's drawn by the same guy who did Samurai Jack.
Like, making Luke Cage less black would be the same as making Thor a woman. It's equally retarded. But, it was definitely... There was a lot of good scenes. The scene where fucking Cottonmouth gets beaten up by the girl. I don't want to spoil it too much, but that scene was fantastic. That was, like, had me gripped. And, the scene, like, right at the beginning where, like, the guy holds him up and tries to mug him, and he says, you know, you see that police across the street? Let me give you a history lesson about why America's great. I love that, like, the patriotism aspect of his personality was really cool. He's a great character, and I like the actor. There was one thing that really bothered me about Luke Cage. The actor has a fucking mole on the back of his head.
Oh, no.
And I mean, like, he's bald for the whole show. He shaves his head. But that fucking mole, every time I see it, it took me out of the show. Like, can he get that removed, please? If he's going to play a beloved character, if I'm going to have to watch Luke Cage forever, for years and years, why does he have a gross mole on the back of his head? It looks weird. Like, you can see it from the front. It's a mole on the back of his head, and you can see it from the front because it sticks out weirdly. And I'm just looking at it the whole show. He's like, I'm Luke Cage. I'm really strong, and Black Lives Matter, and I'm going to beat the bad guys, and I'm going to have a fight. And I can't even fucking focus on it. All I can focus is that weird mole on his head, and I just want to take it. It's like Austin Powers. I'm just looking at Luke Cage the whole movie. Mole. I hate it. Anyways, we talked about Stephen Strange. We talked about Luke Cage. We talked about Daredevil. Now we can finally talk about comics. An hour and a half into the panel cast, we can talk about comics.
The new ones from this week.
Yeah, the new ones from this week.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I know.
You see it on my notes.
Yeah, I mean, so last week wasn't really that great. This week is equally unimpressive. And that's not to say that comics are generally... So, they released Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #1 this week. And I have been so excited for this one because I really like Mary Jane as a superhero.
I like Mary Jane in general.
Yeah, she's interesting, she's fun.
I think taking her out of the Spider-Man mythos was one of the worst things they ever did.
No, like, Mary Jane is fun. She's great.
She's Peter Parker's fucking wife, and she should be.
Yeah. But Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which was a title that they released during Secret Wars as like just a few issues, and now it is an ongoing series starring Spider-Man, Mary Jane, his wife, and their daughter Annie. And I'm just going to say this right now, I do not give a fuck about Annie.
I don't give a fuck about anyone's daughter. I don't want to see anyone's kids. I hate kids.
I'm tired of, like, it's a consistent thing in Marvel. All the kids in Marvel are really fucking smart. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. They're probably smarter than their parents. You know, she's sitting in her room and she fucks up her dad's shit because she's trying to make it better. And she's crying, I'm just trying to make it better. It's like, I get it.
Here's how I feel about kid sidekicks in general. There should be one, and his name is Robin.
I like Damien.
I mean all the Robins.
All the Robins.
Batman can always have a Robin. Batman always should have a Robin. Mm-hmm. Nobody else, no other superhero should have like a younger sidekick. It's stupid. It only works for Batman. Because I think like the character of Batman kind of needs a Robin. But you know, I hate Kid Flash, I hate Donna Troy, I hate fucking all the little teeny boppers. I hate them. They shouldn't exist. Fucking if your name isn't Robin, then you shouldn't be a fucking sidekick. You should be. I hate them. Superheroes don't need little sidekicks. Robin is the sidekick.
Yeah. Either way, Renew Your Vows. Like, I was really looking forward to this one, and and how did you describe it? Insipid.
Insipid. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good...
I just felt nothing. It was...
Yeah.
Well...
It did not leave an impact on me like I feel like it should have. Like, the artwork was really good. I loved the chemistry between Peter Parker and Mary Jane, but anytime they brought in Annie, it just fucking ruined everything for me.
I'm a little spider girl. I pooped in my web diaper. You have to wipe my butt.
Watch me catch this item in the most fucking egregiously elaborate way at the kitchen table. I get it. You're a fucking spider girl. I get it. You're a fucking genius. I'm
gonna go.
I'm done.
I'm gonna kiss a boy at school, and I'm gonna have a spider power. So, you heard me talking about Spider-Man 2, and you heard in my voice how much the character of Spider-Man means to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go.
Go for it.
So about 10 years ago, everything about Spider-Man was irreparably ruined forever. They took it all. They took everything that was good and pure about the character, and they flushed it down the visitor's crapper. And the character of Peter Parker, to this day, has not recovered. I feel like the entire Marvel Universe has not recovered. I feel like this decision, in a lot of ways, ruined the entire Marvel Universe. There was this storyline 10 years ago called Spider-Man, One More Day. Infamous. Infamously hated. For good reason. But you know what? No matter how much people hate One More Day, they don't hate it enough. They don't... God, it fucking... So, Civil War. The original Civil War. A huge plot point was that Spider-Man revealed his secret identity.
Yep.
He joined Tony Stark's side. Tony Stark assured him that this would be the safe and right thing to do.
Yep.
And because he's Spider-Man, it immediately backfired.
Of course.
All of his enemies. Because, like, one of the great things about Spider-Man to me, one of the great things about the character of Spider-Man is his greatest flaw, which is that he's a bully. Spider-Man's supervillains hate him. They want him to suffer. Like, fucking Killer Croc doesn't hate Batman. I mean, he hates him because he foils his crimes.
Yeah, Batman's just an inconvenience.
But, like, on a personal level, because Spider-Man doesn't just beat up his supervillains. He mocks them. He makes fun of them. He belittles them. Because Spider-Man was bullied as a teenager, and, like, I feel like an untalked about aspect of his character is this big flaw of his, that he's internalized it, and...
he's always projecting. Even
trying to be responsible and trying to be a good guy, Spider-Man is kind of a dick. He is a bully. He you know, and so all of Spider-Man's villains, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro, the Shocker, they all have this personal fucking hatred of Spider-Man, and they want to make him suffer so much. So in that way, you know, Spider-Man, he creates his own problems. Mm-hmm. Because he makes these two-time criminals, these would-be nothing criminals, he kind of elevates them to super criminals just because of how much he makes them hate him.
Yeah, look at Black Cat.
Yeah.
That's a really good example.
Yeah, Black Cat's a legitimate supervillain. She was like a Catwoman kind of a vigilante, sort of a on-again, off-again girlfriend.
And things have definitely escalated.
And now she's like an evil kingpin type.
Did you ever read Superior Spider-Man?
Yes.
I fucking loved Superior Spider-Man.
It was good. It was great.
It's a great series.
Go
on.
But that's kind of what I like about Spider-Man, is that I think that what makes him possibly the best superhero, or the best superhero character in his own way. I think every comic book character is the best comic book character in their own way. But I just like the fact that of all the superheroes, I think that Spider-Man has always been the most corruptible, the most human. He will always make mistakes. He will always be corrupted by power or like delusions of grandeur. He'll always have moments where he loses his temper and does something stupid, and he'll always create bigger problems for himself. And that's kind of the character's struggle and what makes him interesting to read about. So he gets assured by Tony Stark that removing his mask and revealing his identity will be an okay thing. But because he's Spider-Man and all of his supervillains hate him so much, immediately it backfires and everybody starts gunning for his family. And eventually, like, an assassin hired by Wilson Fisk shoots Aunt May, and Aunt May is going to die. And because he has a guilt complex, he feels like it's his fault, even though Aunt May is 1,000 years old anyways. He's going to fucking croak any day now. You know, he's desperate. He goes to everyone. He goes to Reed Richards. He goes to Doctor Strange. He goes to even supervillains like Doctor Doom. Desperate. Please, someone who's good at science or magic, save my aunt. Aunt. How do you say aunt? I've always said aunt.
I think I'd say aunt. I don't know.
You're from Texas.
Yeah. I don't know.
It always trips me up.
It swings.
Yeah, it does swing. You know, please.
I think it depends on their personality.
Somebody save my aunt. She can't die. It can't be my fault. I will be a sad panda if that happens.
I think she's an Aunt May, for sure, though.
Yeah.
Go on.
But everyone says no, for whatever reason. Even though, like, you know, Reed Richards could have cured cancer 1 billion times by now. I don't buy for a second that Reed Richards couldn't have cured a bullet hole in an old lady. I don't believe for 1 second that Doctor Strange couldn't have solved it, but...
He could have gone to, like, Magneto, and Magneto would be like, okay, wiggle it out.
Yeah, Magneto. But, yeah, so everyone tells him no. No one can solve this dilemma. Finally, Mephisto. He goes to the Demon Lord Mephisto, the devil of the Marvel Universe. And he says, "You're my last hope." He signs a deal with the devil to basically redo this. And so Mephisto uses his powers. In exchange, he says, "I don't want your soul, I want your love. I'm going to take your marriage, and you're not married to Mary Jane anymore." The weirdest excuse for a retcon ever. I mean, the real reason they did this is because they didn't want Spider-Man to be too grown up. Mm-hmm. The editor-in-chief at Marvel, he's said this publicly. He thinks that Spider-Man should be relatable to younger people, and he should never be too grown up. He didn't want him to be married. He just wanted him to be like a poor, struggling bachelor again.
Mm-hmm. Which, you know...
Which now, if you look at the comics...
Yeah, no, if you look at it now, it's total opposite.
Yeah.
I can't get it.
They've gone too far in the opposite direction now, but, So he makes a deal with the devil to retcon all of this horrible stuff that happened. And a lot of people dwell on that. They dwell on the moral implications of it, like, Spider-Man would never make a deal with the devil. That's not my problem with it. That's because, like, Spider-Man, his whole thing is that he's a very corruptible, he makes mistakes. Of course Spider-Man would make a deal with the devil. That's who he is.
I mean, has anybody seen the new Spider-Man Deadpool?
Yeah.
I just... Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll get to that. But, Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that on like a moral level. Of course Spider-Man would make a deal with Mephisto. That seems totally in character for me. But the problem that I have is the ripple effect of this retcon throughout all of Spider-Man continuity and all of Marvel continuity. It ruined everything. Nothing for the last decade has made any sense because of this one moment in time. That was clever. You hear what I did there? Because there was another comic. Clap for me, baby. Because of this one story. Fucking... So, I guess the continuity became that, like, he did unmask during Civil War, but nobody remembered it for some reason. And people were, like, aware that they didn't remember it, but they just didn't care. Like he was not an Avenger anymore. No, none of the other superheroes even knew who he was, which really grinds my gears because that like takes away character development for so many like different characters and aspects. Like there was always this like weird budding friendship between him and Wolverine that I always loved reading. That was gone because nobody fucking knows that he's Peter Parker now. Nobody, it ruins everything. This weird bonding moment with Jessica Jones in that one issue where like, hey, we went to high school together and I had a crush on you, Peter, in high school. And Luke Cage is like, nigga, what? And that was a great moment. That I don't know how that fits in anymore. It doesn't make, because nobody knows he's Peter Parker. They got fucking comics now. To this day, nothing about the Marvel Universe makes any sense because the ripple effect. There's so many tiny little things, so many little stories that you now have to wonder, did they even happen? How do they fit in anymore? Because nobody knowing his identity, it ruins everything. Like in the new Avengers comic, nobody trusts Spider-Man. They're like, who's this weird Spider-Man guy? We don't trust him. We don't know who he is. Everybody thinks that Spider-Man is like a weird guy, even though he was an Avenger for like a decade. Everybody lived with him. They knew he was Peter Parker. Fucking Tony Stark meets Mary Jane, and he goes, oh, who are you? I don't know who Mary Jane Watson is. Mary Jane lived in Stark Tower for like 10 years! Holy shit! Like, it doesn't make any sense. I read it and it just blows my fucking mind. Like, every fucking thing having to do with Spider-Man blows my mind. None of it makes any sense. How does Tony Stark not know who Mary Jane is? She lived at his house. Does she just not remember living at his house for 10 years? Does he not remember? Does he remember, like, someone lived? Does he remember that, like, do they remember that, like, yeah, Spider-Man was an Avenger, but maybe we didn't see his face and we never paid attention to his wife and his aunt who lived here? What wife? What aunt? We don't know. What? Like, even though Spider-Man has been, like, it's back to this, like, weird old status quo of, like, none of the superheroes knowing if they can trust Spider-Man. Even though, like, he's been, like, an Avenger. He's been, like, the best superhero for years and years.
An Avenger, an X-Men, he's been on the Fantastic Four,
like,
Future Foundation, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, Spider-Man, his tangled web is a part of everything. Spider-Man is the linchpin of the entire Marvel Universe. Retconning that one thing about Spider-Man had ripple effects that ruined everything and made everything goofy. Like Spider-Man's power, his real power, in like a meta sense, not that he's agile and can shoot webs. The real power of the character of Spider-Man, his place in the Marvel Universe, is that, in an unspoken sense, he is the best superhero. That is the purpose of Spider-Man. He's been around all these years. He's the most fucking, resilient, the most, the most tenacious. Every superhero, he doesn't have the best powers, but every superhero secretly knows that if Spider-Man got pissed off enough, he would kill all of them. Spider-Man, his place in the Marvel Universe is that he's the best superhero. He could kick anyone's ass, no matter how powerful they are. Fucking Thor, Dormammu, fucking anyone. Nobody can beat Spider-Man. That's his power as a narrative device. Do you agree?
Sure.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I do.
He's the most important superhero in the Marvel Universe. Anyways,
there's more Spider-Man.
So because the One More Day storyline ruined everything forever, it ruined Spider-Man comics forever. It ruined the Marvel Universe forever. Everyone hates it. Marvel kind of has to, every once in a while, they release like a what if, or a what if we didn't ruin Spider-Man? What if we weren't the most comically inept comic book company, literally comically inept company that ever existed? What if we actually appreciated and valued our characters and knew how to write them? So every couple of years we get like this alternate universe just to tease us of like what if like he was still married to Mary Jane, and what if the Spider-Man mythos still made sense?
Yeah, they did that after Secret Invasion and after
Yeah.
AVX, things like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is another, like, sort of Elseworlds kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what if Spider-Man was married to Mary Jane, and they had a daughter, and she had Spider-Man powers too? What if that? And, like, I don't see the point of it. I don't see the point of an out-of-continuity just to sort of, like, tease people who want this, who want things to make sense again. It's kind of, to me, it's just kind of like just pouring salt on the wound.
You know, I did kind of see it that way, like it's a tease. But
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. There are things about Renew Your Vows that I still enjoyed, but I think I already explicitly, like, yelled about them. The chemistry between Mary Jane and Spider-Man are perfect. Annie ruins fucking everything, as usual. She ruins it all the way up until the end. Ruins it, literally ruins everything. I hate it. I hate her. Why is she in this? Who cares?
And that's it. There's nothing really to say about it. I mean, it's just the first issue, and it's just setting up the dumb bullshit. It's just going to be like a fluffy, meaningless, out of continuity, salt in the wound clusterfuck of, ha ha ha, wouldn't it be funny if Spider-Man still made sense? But he doesn't. We'll never fucking, fuck you. We'll never actually do this.
Right.
So it just kind of annoyed me greatly. Everything about Spider-Man sends me into a blind, frothing fucking rage.
The new Spider-Man in general has definitely been that way for me. Like, have you been reading Clone Conspiracy? Like, actually reading it?
Yeah, that was next on my notes. I was going to get to that. But, I mean, fuck. Spider-Man is so weird now. They've taken him in such a weird direction. They've just made him into Tony Stark.
Yeah, he's just a rich guy now. Like, I liked Peter Parker / Spider-Man, who was so broke that he had to run after the bus. Like, stay on the back of the bus. Like,
And, like...
what is the point?
Like, wasn't the whole point of One More Day, the reason that you threw this wrench into everything and ruined Spider-Man forever was so that you could have him, like, be a relatable guy?
Yeah.
Supposedly, but, like, now they've gone the opposite way anyways, so now we have the worst of both worlds. He's not relatable, and his continuity makes no fucking sense. So now he's, like, he's in charge of this billion-dollar corporation. He's just Tony Stark now. He's not even Peter Parker anymore.
Tony Stark isn't even
Tony Stark isn't Tony Stark anymore. And fucking, I've always kind of disliked, like, genius Peter Parker, where they kind of elevate it. Like, I don't think that Spider-Man should be a genius. I don't think that he should be, like, Reed Richards, Tony Stark level. It's okay for him to be, like, smart and sciencey. That's part of his charm. Mm-hmm. But making him out to be like, oh, I invented 10 new spider suits, and I invented...
in the top, like, he's in the top 8 smartest people.
Yeah, get that shit the fuck out of here. That's stupid. That's not why people like the character.
No. He's charismatic, he's fun, he's
and
relatable,
he's, like,
but now he's just rich.
Yeah, and, like, you can have him still be relatable and still be Peter Parker without taking away his fucking wife and all of his continuity. Like, it's not his financial status that makes him relatable. It's not, like, his marital status that makes Spider-Man the most relatable superhero to a lot of people. It's his personality. It's the fact that he's a flawed, kind of doofy dipshit who creates his own problems and always seems to have bad luck. Right? And so they just don't understand it. People who write comics don't understand the characters. Only I do. I'm the only person who, in any kind of a meta-narrative sense, understands I should be writing every single fucking comic. I keep saying that, and it keeps getting more true with every comic I read. Everyone who writes comics is incompetent. I'm the only one who understands shit about fuck. A vein is gonna pop in my fucking forehead any minute now. So Spider-Man is like a rich, like, industrialist, fucking Lex Luthor type, basically, almost. And he has these comics where, like, the Avengers go, Peter Parker is funding the Avengers now. And he's like an outsider, even though he lived with us and we knew he was Peter Parker for 10 years. He's like an outsider, and we don't know if we can trust Spider-Man. And also, Peter Parker is friends with Spider-Man, and we all just buy that for some reason. All the superheroes who really should be savvy to this, because Tony Stark did it for like 60 years, this Iron Man's my bodyguard shit, but somehow they totally fall for it again. Oh yeah, Peter Parker's just this weird guy, and Spider-Man is like his bodyguard, I guess. I guess they're like friends. Like, how fucking dumb, how much of a bunch of fucking dipshits are these superheroes now?
I have an appreciation for Tony Stark in the movies, who's like, yeah, I'm Iron Man, fuck it, what of it?
Yeah,
I don't care.
That was brilliant. That was the best thing the movie did.
Like, don't beat around the bush. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to.
And that's
hide
totally.
him.
That's like this moment of, like, this aspect of the character that is so right, but, like, the comics never figured out until the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, once you see it in the movie, you're like, yeah, of course Tony Stark wouldn't keep it a secret. Why would he?
Yeah, no.
It's just, yeah, like, Peter Parker being like a rich industrialist and like Spider-Man being his friend, nobody's ever going to buy it. It makes no sense. It doesn't make sense for the character or for the continuity. I hate it.
I was really sad when Superior Spider-Man ended. Like, I knew eventually it would have to, because Doc Ock can't be Spider-Man forever. But it was still devastating for him to go from, that to, well, now I'm going to get all of Doc Ock's, riches and his company, and it's going to grow from there, and wow, I'm going to be great, and it's not.
This fucking...
It takes me out of it.
Just the fact that, like, all of these new Avengers comics that came out, like, when I was in middle school and high school, where they relaunched the Avengers, and it was, like, Spider-Man and Wolverine and Spider-Woman and Luke Cage, and that was, like, the best lineup ever. It was all these cool characters, and they lived together in Stark Tower, and they were, like, friends. They would, like, have scenes of them, like, eating takeout, Chinese takeout, like, with their masks off, and, like, there were scenes like that Jessica Jones scene I mentioned where, like, we went to high school together, Peter. Wow, you were Spider-Man all along? Like, all these great little character-building moments, like, and like 10 years of like continuity of like the new Avengers becoming friends, and like all of that because of the One More Day story was like wiped away. Now the Avengers like don't know who Spider-Man even is. They don't trust him again. It's back to this like weird paradigm of Spider-Man being the outsider and being this like weird guy who isn't even recognizable from a character standpoint as the Spider-Man I know anymore. And like, I'm all for character development, but just like taking it in like the weird direction too far too fast is not character development. It's just like a goofy, it freaks me out. And the One More Day thing, and it ruined everything forever. I'm just repeating myself. I'm going into a fucking loop. I'm in a loop of madness, a loop of sadness, because there was this one of my favorite stories of all time, Astonishing Spider-Man and Wolverine, where Spider-Man and Wolverine, they go on this fucking time travel adventure, and they become, like, best friends by the end of it. It's like this tremendous, like, Spider-Man meets this girl in, like, the old Wild West, and they live there for, like, 3 years, and he gets married, and then, he goes back to the present, and she doesn't remember, and so like he's lost this love of his life, and the only person who knows about this like side of Spider-Man now is Wolverine, and they have this like bonding friendship now. That's gone because Wolverine doesn't know that he's Peter Parker anymore. Did that like not happen now? Nobody remembers anything about Spider-Man or all this character development that happened in the 2000s. It's all gone. Oh God, why did they ruin everything? Oh, God. Ooh, boy. Ooh.
Are you ready to move on to the next Spider-Man topic?
Yeah, and after I get done with mine, you had comics that you read that you wanted to talk about, too. Jesus Christ, this is truly giant-sized, people.
How long are we into this already?
Well, this is the only one left I have. After I'm going to talk about this next one. At some point, I'm going to get Digi on here, and me and him are going to talk about Gwenpool, because he's been reading it.
Okay.
Okay, so the last thing on my list for this week is another Spider-Man. So you get to listen to me rage about Spider-Man more. Spider-Man, the Clone Conspiracy, issue number 2, I believe. This has been okay. I don't hate this. I don't hate this. Now, granted, it's still like the modern industrialist genius Tony Stark Spider-Man that I have trouble caring about at all anymore. But this is a storyline that is steeped in some of the weirder aspects of continuity. I'm just like a continuity nerd. I think that's why I hate One More Day so much, because I am a fan of it. I get off on these weird stories. That's what I love about Grant Morrison. He's one of my favorite writers of all time, because when Grant Morrison writes a character, he fucking reads everything about them that's ever been written, and he like pulls things from like the 50s and the 70s and the 30s, and he like reintegrates them. Did you ever read Grant Morrison's Batman? Amazing what he did. How he took all these like different incarnations of Batman and made them cohesive into a picture that made sense as like one complete character. Brilliant. I should talk about that because it makes me happy and Spider-Man doesn't. But I'm going to talk about Spider-Man. I like continuity, and this Clone Conspiracy storyline is a story that is sort of steeped in like weird continuity. It all stems from this storyline in the early 90s. This infamous storyline called the Clone Saga. And it's a storyline that is sort of has become synonymous in people's minds with this like bloated, overdrawn attitude of how comics were being written in the early 90s that sort of caused like the whole market to crash. the Clone Saga of Spider-Man is what people point to, because it was this long, super convoluted storyline that went for like 5 years. And it was all about Spider-Man just getting cloned a million times, and he didn't know if he was the real Spider-Man, and there was this guy called Ben Reilly who was a clone, but maybe he wasn't a clone, but then he was a clone, and it got like way complex and convoluted, and everybody hated it. Everybody makes fun of it to this day for being so shitty and dumb. By the end of it, after like 15 years of these Clone Saga stories that everyone hated, it was revealed that it was all part of the plan of this supervillain called the Jackal, and the Jackal was this like weird fucking green furry. He was just like a furry version of the Green Goblin. And he's just this goofy character who just like, he loves cloning. Like, that's his supervillain origin. Like, other supervillains have like pathos. You're looking at me like I'm getting facts wrong.
No,
but I don't care.
No, you got it.
Like, other supervillains have like this pathos, like that make them like almost as three-dimensional as the superheroes. Like, Two-Face is a great character. Or fucking, I don't know, Lex Luthor is a great character.
The Riddler's a great character too.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
Yeah. Poison Ivy is a great character.
I love her.
Harley Quinn has all the potential in the world to be a great character.
Ah, but they just turned her into the new Deadpool.
Harley Quinn was a great character at one point in time.
Don't.
Oh,
No, that's another can of worms.
I'm so glad you feel that way, because I think every day about unleashing that can of worms on this panel cast. Every time I start the panel cast, I think, is this going to be the week where I open up the fucking Harley Quinn can of worms and go on that fucking 5-hour rage tirade?
I want to be there for that. Shit.
Yeah, so like, some supervillains are great, and they have pathos and character arcs. Not the Jackal. The Jackal just loves cloning. He's just, and like, even though the Clone Saga was like universally reviled and it ended and nobody ever wanted to hear about it again, every once in a while the Jackal still pops up again with some goofy cloning related scheme. And I just love the character because he's so stupid. It's such a dumb, goofy character. He just loves cloning. He loves cloning like the Riddler loves riddles. It's his thing. Every time he shows up, I'm gonna clone. There's a line in this comic, because the Jackal's in this comic. It's another Jackal story. It's another big clone story, and it's reaching into all the clone history of Spider-Man. And there's a line from the Jackal. He's talking to Spider-Man, and he's sort of monologuing, and he's like, I've evolved, Spider-Man. I got into a little bit of a rut there for a while, cloning you, and then cloning Gwen, and then you, and Gwen, and then you, and then you, and then Gwen, and then you, for 20 fucking years. But, it was cute. But, so, this clone conspiracy issue it's another big goofy clone story, which I have a morbid love for. I think everybody at this point, like the Clone Saga, everybody hates it, but it's also sort of become like The Room, where like people love making fun of it. Like, it always gets mentioned in the comics. Like Spider-Man, if you read comics, he constantly quips like, "Oh, I hope I don't have to deal with any clones today." And it's always like a little wink and a nod. Like,
it's kind of like when Batman is always like, periodically Batman will just be like, "Oh, I hope it's not fucking vampires today."
Yeah, or it's like when a contemporary Robin says like a holy rusted metal Batman, like sort of a little nod to how campy it used to be. So yeah, the Jackal always shows up, and Spider-Man always has to deal with clones, and it's become like a kind of like a running gag at this point that Spider-Man, half of his problems are clone related. So in this comic, the Jackal comes back, and the Jackal has been given a redesign, which is great, and I love his redesign. Have you seen him?
If he was on the covers, then yes.
The Jackal has always been a goofy character, but I think part of the reason why nobody gives a shit about him has always been his design, because he just looks like a furry Green Goblin. He was an uninspired, lame character design, and they've changed him. And now the Jackal, he's like a guy in a business suit with an Anubis head mask, and he looks fucking cool.
It's very Star versus the Forces of Evil, then.
Is it?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I haven't seen that.
Toffee, that's what it reminds me of. He's one of the big villains in that. I love that show, by the way, but go on.
Yeah. So he meets the Jackal again, and he's like, he's going around, and he meets Doc Ock. Doc Ock's back. He has a new body.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Doc Ock, man. Superior Spider-Man elevated Doc Ock so much.
Oh yeah.
As like a credible supervillain. Like now, like I'm excited to see that Doc Ock's back because, like, again, that's an example of like character growth and how continuity is so important, because it takes characters that you didn't care about, but they can grow and they can become better versions of themselves. And suddenly I care about Dr. Octopus. I never did before. And that's why you can't just have a story like One More Day that takes all that continuity and flushes it down the toilet. You can't do it. So there was a big storyline a couple years ago where Dr. Octopus was dying. He was on his last legs. And as his final scheme, he wanted to kill like 1 billion people, right? And Spider-Man stopped him. But then Dr. Octopus had another secret scheme where he switched bodies with Peter Parker. And Spider-Man, Peter was trapped in the body of the ailing Dr. Octopus and died as Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus was in the body of Peter Parker. He took over his body. He took over his life. He tried to fuck Mary Jane. It
was some of the creepiest.
It was really creepy. It was really a good, well written. He fucked a midget. You know, imagine getting your body back and finding out that you have a gross midget girlfriend. I would be devastated. I would. That was like the most sinister thing a supervillain has ever done. He stole Peter Parker's body and made him fuck a midget.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Wow.
They're not in proportion. They've got weird little... It's not just that there's... Okay, you know what? I'm going to get off this topic.
All of your midget viewers are unsubscribed.
They creep me out. I'm sorry. Look, I believe that midgets should have rights, but you creep me out. So... Dr. Octopus was Spider-Man for a couple years.
It was really good.
It was a really interesting story, and like Peter Parker, there was still a fragment of him in Dr. Octopus's mind, and they were fighting for control of his body.
And it got worse and worse.
Yeah, and but like the sort of the crux of the series was that the experience of being Spider-Man changed Dr. Octopus, and he slowly became more of a noble person until by the end of it, this was so brilliant how they wrote this like slow character arc.
Yeah.
Where by the end of it, the Green Goblin is like beating up the whole city, and Dr. Octopus, he's been calling himself the superior Spider-Man this whole time. I'm better than Parker. I can be a better Spider-Man than he'll ever be.
Yep.
But by the end of it, there's Green Goblins everywhere. He's beating up the city, and Dr. Ock, because he's become a better person, because he's fallen in love with a midget. That's how a bad guy becomes a good guy. You fall in love with a midget, and she shows you the light. He's grown as a person. He's become like an actual superhero, and he realizes, my God, Parker was always the superior Spider-Man. I can't solve this problem. I am a villain, and I'm an idiot, and I'm a megalomaniacal fuck. I don't have what it takes to be a superhero. He had this moment of humility where he realized that Parker was the one true Spider-Man. So he goes back and he just gives. In this beautiful character arc, this moment of self-sacrifice, he gives Peter Parker his body back. He relinquishes control to the real Spider-Man. And it's a beautiful moment. And it elevates Dr. Octopus as a character and makes him great. But, so in this comic, the Jackal has found a way not to clone people, but to take their memories right up until the moment of their death and put them in the clones. So they're not just clones. They're basically, they know everything that the person knows, right?
Right.
But Dr. Octopus, because Dr. Octopus's body died a long time ago, he doesn't have the memories of Doc Ock. But because the Superior Spider-Man, when he did the Spider-Verse thing, he learned that he would eventually lose his body back to Parker. He didn't know how yet. So he did some sneaky stuff, and he put his brain in a computer, and the computer got out, and the computer put his brain into the clone that the Jackal made. So it's Dr. Octopus, the clone, has all the memories of the Superior Spider-Man, but not the memories where he became a good person and at the end gave up his body.
Oh, no.
So he's just kind of... So he still has that grudge. Like, Spider-Man, I took over your body, and somehow, I don't know how it happened because I'm from an earlier part of it, I don't know how you got your body back, but you must have done something sneaky. And Spider-Man has this moment where he's like, no, Otto, don't you see? You gave me my body back. You became a better person. And he's like, I don't believe you. You did something sneaky. I'm still a bad guy. Fuck you. I was the superior Spider-Man. So he has just enough of that character development to be the superior Spider-Man still, but not enough to have completed his little arc and be a good person again.
Oh no.
It's sad. I like it though. So Doc Ock is back, and he's got his body back, and he has this grudge against Spider-Man because all he knows is that he was the superior Spider-Man, and somehow, he doesn't know how, somehow Parker sneaked his way back into the body. So now he hates him even more. And so this sort of B-list villain, Dr. Octopus, has been elevated to kind of Spider-Man's arch nemesis, more so than the Green Goblin now. And that's pretty cool. So Dr. Octopus is there, and he's beating up Spider-Man. He's going to kick the crap out of him. Rhino's there. There's a new Electro who's a girl. Electra. Can't call her Electra. There's already an Electra. How do you do that?
Electrina?
Yeah. So the Jackal has brought all these people back to life. He's brought, and he's given them a pill. So he's keeping them on a leash because if they'd stop taking this pill, their clone bodies will break down. So the Jackal has brought all these Spider-Man villains back to life, but he controls them. His greatest clone-related scheme yet. And so he's fighting Dr. Octopus, and the Jackal shows up and says, "No, Dr. Octopus, don't do it. I have to monologue for a bit. Tell him about my plan." And so the Jackal takes Spider-Man around. Gwen Stacy's there. There's a Gwen Stacy clone, of course. The Jackal is telling Spider-Man about his plan. And he's saying, "Spider-Man, look at what I've done. I've eliminated death forever." And Spider-Man, he's going on that lame superhero, you played God shit. Cry me a fucking river. Yeah, jack me off. But he's like, "Look what I've done, Spider-Man." And he opens up a door, and it's every dead Spider-Man villain ever. They're all back. Everyone who's, even like supporting characters like Captain Stacy and like, you know, all these people that Spider-Man has lost over the years. He's brought them all back. The Hobgoblin, the Green Goblin. I don't know if Norman was actually dead. I have no idea what happened to him after the Superior Spider-Man. Yeah. But he was in the room, so I don't know. Green Goblin was there. Hobgoblin was there. The guy with the pumpkin head. What's his name?
Oh, fuck, I loved him.
That Punisher killed him in Civil War 10 years ago. But he's back.
Well, he came back in the Venom series.
Oh, well, he's back. They're all back. Everyone's back. All the supervillains are back. And also all of Spider-Man's dead friends are back. And
happy reunion.
Yeah, Jackal reveals his secret plan to Spider-Man, and it's actually a pretty clever plan. And you kind of, as a reader, you kind of buy into it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. The Jackal says, "Spider-Man, I've brought back all the villains who've died because of you, and I've brought back all of your friends who've died because of you. The reason I've done this is to wipe your slate clean. All the blood is off your hands. I'm giving you, Spider-Man, everything you've always wanted. I'm taking the blood off your hands. You can be a free man now, free of the guilt." Right?
But did he bring back Uncle Ben?
Uncle Ben, I don't think was there.
Oh.
Slight oversight on his part. The one person who actually mattered, who could have changed Spider-Man's mind. But anyways, he brings everyone back. I guess his plan is to say, "Spider-Man, fuck you. I did something good for you. My ultimate evil scheme, doing something nice for you. How do you like that?" That's the kind of goofy, retarded villain shit that I love. So yeah, everyone is there. Gwen Stacy is there. And Spider-Man's like, "This is crazy. You can't do this. You've brought back everyone who ever died around me. Oh my god, it's a crazy conundrum." But then Spider-Gwen starts fighting. Oh yeah, she's not actually Gwen. She's Spider-Gwen.
Oh, okay.
So the Gwen Stacy clone starts beating people up, and her and Spider-Man escape through the vents. And Gwen Stacy says, "I'm not actually a clone of Gwen Stacy. The real clone of Gwen Stacy that the Jackal made fucked off with Kane over here, and they're off somewhere else. I'm a mole. I'm Spider-Gwen from a secret universe. I'm boobity blue. I have spider powers. Whatever the fuck." And then so they escape. Peter escapes with Spider-Gwen, and then it cuts to Kane. And Kane is in another city. I think he lives in Dallas, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, Houston, Texas.
So Kane is in Houston and is driving around his spider car because there's no web-slingy buildings in Houston, I guess.
No, well, not unless you're in downtown Dallas.
Yeah. So it cuts to Kane, and he's got the actual Gwen Stacy clone with him. And that's how it ends. It's the reveal that the Gwen Stacy clone and the Spider-Gwen have switched places. And they've... Yeah.
And now they're gonna bang.
Woo!
I do love me some Scarlet Spider.
Yeah,
that
so-
was one of my favorite like mini runs of any kind
Yeah.
of offshoot.
Scarlet Spider, because we keep mentioning him, but I haven't explained who he is yet. He's one of the many clones of Spider-Man, but he's the best one.
He's definitely the best one. I can't recommend Scarlet Spider enough.
Yeah,
He's all the superpowers, but none of the responsibility. He fucking hates the responsibility.
Yeah.
He fucking hates Peter Parker.
he's like a misanthrope and he's a jerk.
He ran away to Houston because there were no heroes there, and he's like, good.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And he's sitting on the couch, like, getting fat, eating Cheetos, and suddenly, like, his whole life is just ruined by the news because he happened to save some old lady who was trying to cross the street and an 18-wheeler almost smooshed her. And he was like, no, fuck her. She can die. I don't care. This is okay. But of course, you know, at the last second, he saves her, but in the process, like, destroys the 18-wheeler with his body and hurts the 18-wheeler trucker. And anyway, he's like, don't get in a fucking home, old lady. Why are you trying to cross the street? This is awful. And like he slings off, he fucks off back home, and the news all of a sudden is like, wow, Houston has a hero. We don't know who he is, but we're gonna call him the Scarlet Spider. And he's just like, I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah.
I can't live here anymore.
Yeah, he's a good old boy.
I fucking love him. He's my hero.
Do you happen to know what the fuck ever happened to Ben Reilly? Does anyone know?
No.
I don't think anyone knows. It's also convoluted. He was an important character for a while, but that was a long time ago. Maybe Spider-Man's deal with Mephisto got rid of him. Maybe he just doesn't exist anymore.
It's just lost in the ether.
Yeah. Anyways, I liked that comic. I am enjoying Spider-Man the Clone Conspiracy, despite all the stuff I hate about Spider-Man lately.
I'll read it eventually. There's been a lot of offshoots for Clone Conspiracy, so I've been a little less than inclined to try it out. But, you know, I'll still read it eventually. It's one of those things. Because the Prowler is now a thing in Clone Conspiracy as an offshoot, and some other shit came out. I don't know.
So next up, what else any other comics you want to talk about this week?
No, not really. But I do want to mention that I hope eventually you do read them and talk about them. But I've been obsessively introducing people to the Legend of Luther Strode series. And
Oh yeah, you gave that to me, but I haven't read it yet.
No, you will eventually, I'm sure. It's the fantastic trilogy. It's the best trilogy. I love it. I can't recommend it enough. It's drawn by Tradd Moore, who did the all-new Ghost Rider, at least the first 6 issues of it. He's done other things. He's been doing several Avengers covers, Marvel covers in general. He did the issue before, the Suicide issue for fucking Deadpool. He did that cover. He's done a lot of great covers. He's got great art. I fucking love him. I fucking love Luther Strode. I'll touch his wiener. I don't even care. It's big and scary, I'm sure. Or maybe it didn't grow with the rest of them. Who knows? But let me actually talk about what it actually is. So, fans of Kick-Ass, or even fans who, you know, expected greater things out of Kick-Ass. I don't know. Did you ever read Kick-Ass? Ish.
I saw the movie.
The movies.
I read Kick-Ass too, and I did not care for it.
I don't think anybody did.
Good.
There were some problems with that one. But Luther Strode follows a run-of-the-mill nerdy kid in high school who ends up finding a book that seems innocuous at first, but you can derive power from it depending on whether or not you're capable of understanding it. So he takes this book, he starts reading it, he starts taking, advice from it, he starts working out. Next thing you know, he's a big buff dude who has the power to predict anyone's movements. It's interesting. He can look at somebody and he can actually practically see their future in every sense. It all means. And it makes the fight scene so much more...
He can look at a flaccid penis and see a boner.
Yeah, and he can see which way it's gonna bone.
Whoa. Whoa!
And it actually makes the fight scenes all the more interesting because... he can predict, bullet trajectories, he can predict, it's a mess of things that he can do. And he becomes so powerful that he basically evades death because he can will his body to do whatever he wants it to. So let's say, for example, he gets shot in the chest by a bullet. He can actually control his muscles to such a degree that he can catch the bullets with his chest and just spit them back out. He has that much control over his body. There's an entire fight scene, where him and another person just like him just like him, quotations. He's trying to kill him, and you see them fight, and suddenly Luther, like, jumps over him, grabs him by his head, and snaps his neck all the way around, like, it's dangling between his shoulders. But the guy has so much control over his own body that he defies death and ends up pulling his neck back onto his fucking shoulders, and is fine. Like, it's an interesting series. It's full of violence and gore, and I love it.
Sounds pretty groovy.
It's fucking manly. I can't get over it. That's really all I wanted to talk about. If there were other things to talk about, I've already forgotten, because these past 2 weeks have been completely forgettable. I'm sorry, DC and Marvel. Image titles have been good. Cannibal was good. If you haven't read Cannibal yet, the second issue just released this week. But
I'm a baby boy. I only know about superheroes.
See. Hey, Image has superheroes. Trillium. Well, not Trillium. I'm sorry, not Trillium. Fucking Plutona.
I only know about Marvel and DC because they make movies, and I'm a little casual baby boy.
Fair enough.
I'm a little casual baby bitch.
That's about the extent of what I had to say, though. I mean, there's always more that I could say, but how long has this been going on for?
It's about 2 hours and 17 minutes now.
Good.
But, goodbye. Yes.
That was good.
Did it.
Yep.
Now
fun.
to delete all of it. It must never be seen. Hey everybody, welcome back to the panel cast. I just recorded a fucking 3-hour clusterfuck. It was the most heinous, wonderful edition of the panel cast ever, but it's still not over. I'm still here. I have another guest. Here's Digibro, and we're gonna talk about Gwenpool.
Am I the second guest?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I had a first guest. Yeah.
Oh, I want to know who the
secret.
mystery guest is.
Wait, what is this podcast? This is about comics.
Yeah, it's that one.
Fuck.
I have to like go through the Rolodex of all the podcasts.
I literally just blew my mind, like raging about like everything related to every comic ever written for like 2 hours.
And now we have to talk about the new Gwenpool.
Yeah,
I assume you've read
because
it.
I've actually succeeded in swaying some people to reading comics.
Yeah.
In particular, Digi, who's now a comics boy.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, the panel cast has changed my whole life, man. Now
you are consuming comics at an alarming rate. I feel like one of these weeks you'll have read more comics than I have.
I feel like that's gonna take a long time. You know, I've come to realize that you're so much better at this than anybody else I know who reads comics. My brother Shade tried to ask our friend Brandon Tolentino, longtime comics guy, like, you know, what are some good comics? And Tolentino's just like, I just read Iron Man. You know, we were like, you're not
It's
helpful.
so impossible to even talk about, or like because I was just talking about this before. Even complaining about like a comic you don't like, in order to get context for it, you have to complain about something 10 years ago that you didn't like, and then go back 20 years from there, something that like some storyline like 25 years ago that set into motion this domino effect that led to the bad comic you're currently reading. So everything I'm trying to complain about turns into an hour-long history lesson on this fucking show.
Well, thankfully, you've given 2 recommendations that I picked up from previous episodes specifically because they didn't seem like they needed that much context, which were Gwenpool and The Vision, because both of them they have lots of other heroes in them, but the stories are pretty self-contained and pretty much about those characters. The Vision ended, you already talked about it, great run. Just bought Volume 1 yesterday, got my brother reading it. Gwenpool Volume 1, unfortunately not out yet, but Chapter 8 came out yesterday. I read it. It was okay. It was very cute. That's the main thing I took away from it.
It wasn't super eventful.
No.
Not a whole lot happened. I mean, the last issue ended. She was on the subway, and the cops were coming to get her. Mm-hmm. In this episode, she fucked around. She ran away from the cops. She did some shit. She was gonna do something to blow up those squid aliens, the Toothidins.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, turns out she fucked up so bad that her employer doesn't want her anymore. Yeah. And so he's gonna kill her, but then she shot him. But then it turns out he's a robot man. He's not even a regular man.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about this comic is that it's gotten to the point, or it's kind of spinning its wheels a little bit, in that we kind of get what Gwen's big problem is that she doesn't see this world as a real place for some reason. She just thinks it's a comic. That's kind of her big hang up. And it's kind of been reiterating that over and over again. So now I'm officially, as of this issue, I'm at the point where I'm like, Gwen, when are you going to realize?
Yeah, there was a point in this comic where she was doing her, none of this is real stuff. And it was, at that point in this issue, I was like, hasn't she had, like, the sad realization twice now already? Yeah. Like, she's already had her character arc twice over, and she's just kind of looping, it seems like.
Yeah. It's a little odd. And one of the things that I can't decide if I do or don't really like this about the comic is that Gwen herself is, like, adorable. She's like this super cute, peppy young girl who does not at all look like a psycho murderer, like the way she acts.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, is that intentional? Because, like, she just so much doesn't think this is real that, like, in her mind, it's like playing a video game. Like, even a normal person would go around and kill people in a video game, But, like, she just acts so fucking psychotic that whenever her mask is off, I'm always like, God, she's way too cute to be this crazy,
Yeah. Well, like, it's kind of weird because I think it might, to some degree, just be the art style that makes it seem that way. Because she was introduced late last year in Howard the Duck as, like, a backup story where she showed up and she's like, hey, Duck Man, I'm a crazy bitch, I got guns. And because of the artwork in that story, I really got the sense that she was, like, an adult, like, in her mid to late 20s or something.
Right.
Like, because she looked like, a muscly abs having, like, a grown-up-ass Deadpool knockoff.
Right.
Then in her ongoing series, because the art style is so manga-y and cutesy, she looks like she's a teenager all of a sudden. And
I mean, when she
retarded.
came over to Spider-Man's house and she, like, said that she was a classmate, like, it really kind of implied that she is high school age, but they've never had there's never been a moment of, like, here's exactly how old she is,
Yeah.
So I've just kind of assumed that she's, like, 18 or so based on the Spider-Man part, but it's hard to say. She's definitely, like, a weird mixture of a fucking idiot and kind of a genius in other ways. She's good at tactics, not so good at morals and understanding people. But the most important thing about this issue that I wanted to talk to you about is how we finally saw the crazy goth girl without her helmet on. And she was mad fucking cute.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I was just like, whoa, who's this incredibly hot character? Oh my god, it's the crazy girl. I had no idea.
Gwenpool has this coworker, this evil coworker, as part of her MODOK organization that she sort of ran until this issue, called the Evil Eye. And she's like a crazy witch lady with a stupid helmet who says spooky things all the time. Yeah. And in this episode, she went into her room, and the lady was there, and she was just like a normal girl. And she's like, oh my god, Gwen, we've never seen each other out of costume before. And, like, her speech was different, and she was talking like a normal person. And she sort of played it up like a kayfabe thing. Like, when the mask's on, when I'm in character, I go a little too far.
Yeah, well, that she, like, I guess the mask, like, lets her see all this crazy information that she can't perceive normally, and it just makes her insane. But as soon as she takes it off, she's just back to normal, and she doesn't, like, remember what the mask was showing her.
That was adorbs. I just said the word adorbs.
Yeah, you did.
Adorable.
In total sincerity.
Yeah. I love her supporting cast. I love Batroc. I like that Batroc is in a comic doing something. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing for me is when it wasn't until the Evil Eye took her helmet off that I realized she's from Gwenpool. Like, for me as a new comics reader, every comic I read, there's always, like, a shitload of characters, and some of them you can tell are new. Like, if you're reading the current Doctor Strange run, there's, like, Doctor Strange. He's got his sidekick, the Asian guy. There's the Grandmaster. You can tell which characters are there from older comics. But then there's this new girl who's like an assistant that he picks up to like manage his library, who shows up in issue number 1. And like she's kind of an important character now in this current run of the comics, but she's totally new. And now I'm wondering, am I going to start seeing this girl turn up in other Marvel comics now that she's been introduced in this one? And then I'm reading Gwenpool, and, like, obviously, like you said, what's his name? The French guy?
Batroc the Leper.
Yeah, he's like, she explains to him that he's from previous comics. Like, he's obviously an older character.
Which, I love how they're using him, because he's just like this sort of kind of forgotten about, like, old C-list Captain America villain, and they sort of, like, the way he's utilized in this story, like, even though he's, like, a C-lister and a nobody, he's a veteran of this world, and he's sort of the mentor to this idiotic teenage girl.
Would you say this is the most interesting his character's ever been?
Definitely, yeah.
and then, but he's, there's these other two members of the team, and, like, I have no idea if these guys have ever been in anything before, you know, or will they be in something from now? Because, like, the Vision just ended, and now all of a sudden the Vision's daughter is showing up in other comics, being turned into an SJW.
Yeah, I said my piece about that already this week.
What comic was that in, by the way?
That was in Champions #2, in which I literally raged about for a full hour.
Amazing.
At the beginning of this podcast. Yeah, yeah, you always want, when you read comics like this that have a cool little cast or they introduce new characters, you always want to see them pop up in other comics, but then when they do, you kind of regret it.
Yeah, like...
You're like, oh no.
I have, you know, being new to comics and all, I read The Vision, and it never even occurred to me that the daughter might show up again until all at once Jesse said, like, she showed up and they ruined her. And it was like within the same page that you showed me, I was like, oh, the Vision's daughter is in another comic? That's awesome. Oh. I have already been introduced to the gross disappointment that comes with caring about anything.
It was a sad time.
Indeed.
Yeah. So anyways, I definitely hope that that this series you know, goes somewhere.
Yeah. I'd like it to
I hope that it completes itself or has like an arc to it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Fuck.
It kind of the MODOK arc felt fairly complete. She killed him. And since then it feels like it hasn't really gotten its footing on the start of this new arc, but there's still there's like the plot threads that we need to have concluded are very obvious. It's like we need to know what's up with Ghost Boy. She needs to make up with Spider-Man somehow and like learn that this world is a real place, you know. And
I still want to see her origin.
Yeah, and that too. We need to know her origin.
We talked about that not on the pod. We talked about that amongst ourselves the other day. How like it's cool how like because she's been so unwilling to give us her origin because it's so overdone. Yeah. That it's created this like weird like reverse psychology thing where now I want to see her origin and I want to see like how the hell she got here because they keep like slyly alluding to it. Like Doctor Strange in that one issue was like, oh, how the hell did you get here? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it ever. It's a bad time. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I want to know.
The fact that she's so adamant about the idea that she doesn't want to talk about it because it's clearly something traumatic makes it even more like, well, now what was so traumatic about it? I gotta know, you know? It is a good reverse psychology.
I want to see her be like a popular character. I don't know if she is or how well. I'm getting a nod yes from the person here who works at a comic book store.
Oh, really? I just saw. I didn't even know you had a guest in the room. Hi, guest.
He says hi.
At the start of Gwenpool 8, when she's doing the recap thing, she describes herself as like surely the best-selling character, and I wasn't sure. Like when I read that, I was like, either she's selling really well, or this is a joke about how badly this comic is selling. Like it's got to be one or the other. But I'm glad to know it's selling well.
I definitely hope that she continues to be sort of a mainstay in the Marvel Universe. I hope she shows up in other comics. I want to see her interact with as many other characters as possible. That's kind of the best part of it, is seeing her interact with all the established superheroes and stuff, because she's got such a weird outsider perspective. I want to see her hang out with Deadpool, because that's the character that she's sort of ripping off.
It seems like it obviously has to happen, right? Like surely that's the unspoken thing that we're building up to somehow.
That's got to be like the final boss or something. Yeah, because Deadpool, part of his whole thing is the break in the, like, he knows he's in the comic too. Mm-hmm. So it seems only logical to have them meet and bond over it.
I mean, surely she's aware of Deadpool, because that's who she modeled herself after, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's interesting how they have, like, deliberately not made mention of Deadpool as if like in order for her
Yeah.
to breathe as her own character, like we can't mention Deadpool because then it'll just seem like, but then it has to happen someday. So I kind of like that it's being, I feel like that's when we'll know if the comic is wrapping up, is when Deadpool finally shows up. We'll be like, okay, this means that we're hitting the the end of this narrative here.
Yeah. She's definitely a hot, sexy little girl, and I want to fuck her and rape her and grab her by the pussy.
The whole part where she was doing her like descriptions of each like scenario, like when she was describing what they were gonna do, and the art style gets like really cutesy and like drawn with like crayon, it looked like, and that was fucking adorable. I was like, man, I want to see this artist do more just cutesy stuff, you know.
Yeah. Good time. Not a super exciting or eventful issue, but still, generally speaking, a good series and a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the panel cast.
Oh yeah. That was DigiBro, and that was the panel cast. It's finally over. I'm sorry that I did this to all of you. You can all go home now. It's done. Goodbye.